What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in DC as Bruce Wayne? The Strongest Batman. Part 7. If you enjoy this type of content, please furiously deliver thorough justice to the like button. For Gotham. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Remember to check out the original story linked in the description. Let's get into the rise of the strongest Batman in history without further ado. I am not in danger. I am the danger. Walter White, Breaking Bad. Bruce Wayne POV. It seems that the daughter is finally here to save her mother. I have to say, your mother has raised you quite well. Your beauty even exceeds hers. Are you sure she is not mine, Hippolyta? It would make a lot of sense if she were. Maybe she got my godly charm and your assets. Hercules mocked with a perverted grin as soon as he noticed Diana rushing in to save her mother. Silence, villain. How dare you lay your hands on the Queen of Themyscira? You will suffer for this. I, the champion of Themyscira, will make sure of it. The princess of the Amazons threatened as she brandished her sword against the demigod, while quickly hugging her injured mother. Hippolyta, who was still conscious, gritted her teeth listening to Ares' taunts but refrained from saying anything. There was pure disgust and hatred in her eyes for the Greek hero, but the one emotion that was the most apparent was self-disgust. She looked like she was cursing herself for letting a situation like this even arise at all. And who are you supposed to be? Some sort of dragon knight? He curiously asked after noticing me landing behind Diana and her mother. At last, someone who actually understands the theme of this armor, I muttered to myself, almost happy that he had recognized my intent behind creating this design, but I remained serious on the outside as I looked at him straight in the eyes. I am Vengeance. So you are an agent of Nemesis, the god of vengeance? Hercules asked seriously, while giving me another thorough look. I thought you said your name is Bruce, Diana whispered while looking at me with an unhappy frown. So, you did lie after all. I knew that none of you men can be trusted. Even Hippolyta weakly added despite her critical state. Of course, they wouldn't understand the quote. What was I even thinking? Trying to act cool in front of a bunch of ancient Greeks. These are the same guys who thought that small schlongs were better looking than bigger ones. I sighed. It means that I am the vengeance of these Amazons and everyone else who has suffered because of you, Hercules, and I have come to make you pay, I explained with an impassive face. And yes, my name is Bruce. That is still very much my real name. I responded back to Diana. Pay for my crimes? Ha 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 ha. How amusing, Hercules remarked with a laugh, his voice laced with confidence. Perhaps you could serve as my court jester once we've reshaped this world human. Now, where is Ares? That old fool must be having his jolly time with this war. But we must proceed with the final ritual, now that I possess the key. Ignoring me, he began to scan the surroundings, utilizing his newfound divine senses in search of his partner. But even after a few moments when his efforts proved fruitless, Hercules frowned and raised his right hand, attempting to summon the god of war directly to his side. However, Ares didn't appear in front of Hercules like he expected. Instead, out of nowhere, Ares' giant weird-looking helmet, which hadn't incinerated like the rest of his physical body, armor, and weapons, came flying towards him before landing in front of his feet. Yeah, about that, you are going to need another god. I broke that one. I interrupted him with a small smirk while my eyes remained glued to Ares' helm. I didn't notice it before, but how come that demonic-looking Viking helmet didn't disappear like the rest of Ares' stuff? Is it somehow special or something? I wondered to myself. You killed Ares? Hercules asked in a cold voice, but that cold expression on his face soon turned into an evil grin. Well, you guys did me a favor. Now that he is dead, I won't have to share this power with him. I am pretty sure the bastard would have stabbed me in the back the first chance he got. But now I can keep all this power to myself. The same power that Zeus had stripped off from Ares during their final fight and stored in this girdle, along with a magical key to a prison. The Greek hero revealed with a victorious expression while pointing towards the large belt he had forcibly taken from Hippolyta. But that's just a rumor. The girdle doesn't contain that much power. Tell him, mother. Diana tried to argue before looking at her mother for support, but quite contrary to her expectations, Hippolyta didn't agree with her. That girdle, it is much more powerful than I ever told you, Diana. It was supposed to be our greatest weapon against our enemies, a secret that was only to be known by the rulers of Themyscira. I would have told you as well when the time came for you to know, but... However, what I don't understand is how he was able to defeat me even though I was using the powers of the belt. It shouldn't be possible. Hippolyta asked the question more to herself, with her breathing becoming more and more uneven as she clenched her fists in anger. You are right, my dear Hippolyta. Even last time, when I did not know about the girdle, you were able to overpower me with its strength and defeat me before banishing me and my men away. But this time, I had an ally. Ares, who had grown mad in his lust for victory and his quest for revenge against the other gods, agreed to share a major portion of his own divinity with me if it meant that I would have a chance at defeating you and taking away your belt. He believed that the divine strength I inherited from Zeus, along with his own divine power, would be enough to defeat you or your daughter. And look at that, he was right. Now, with the help of this girdle, I am finally stronger than ever. Not only the divinity that Ares shared with me, but now I also have access to the huge amount of divine energy stored in this girdle. I can feel it. I am no longer just an ordinary demigod. I have evolved to become a god now. I am Hercules, the god of might. And once I revive the Titan sealed on this island from his prison, I will ascend to become the ruler of this entire mortal realm, and soon enough, even Olympus as well, with the help of his army. Hercules explained his plan in detail, like every third-class cliché villain ever. You will never succeed in your twisted machinations, Hercules. We will stop you and bring you to judgment in front of the gods. Diana confidently declared before jumping towards Hercules to strike him down with her sword, but before she could reach him, Hercules made a flicking gesture in the air with his fingers, resulting in an invisible force colliding against her and forcibly knocking her down on the sand. Now, don't disturb me, girl. I need to complete the ritual. Go and play somewhere else. Hercules warned before joining both of his hands in a strange symbol and focusing his power on the girdle. Interesting. His power seems to have almost reached the level of an adult Kryptonian, with added magical abilities on top of that. I thought as I thoroughly observed every corner of his body with my transparent world vision to find out if he had any weak spots. Surprisingly, he had none, at least none that I could use in our battle. He was not just a muscled warrior god with an annoying face like one of those handsome and charming Disney villains. He was also one of the best warriors in the entirety of Greek history, and probably the strongest Greek hero that had ever existed. Defeating him without any advanced preparations would be more than just difficult. It's too late now. He is already as powerful as a full-blooded Olympian god. We can no longer defeat him. We might be much more powerful than ordinary men or other mortals, but none of us are a match for a god. He has even started to tap the power of the girdle to access the Well of Souls as well and remove the seal from the Titan that the gods had once imprisoned on this island. Once he completes the ritual and revives Iapetus, the Titan of the West, who was sealed here during the Great Titanomachy War, everything will be over. Only the gods would be able to stop him then, although they would have already killed millions by the time the Olympians arrive. Hippolyta looked like she had given up as she explained to her daughter with a distraught expression. I agree, taking care of him is going to be extremely tough, especially if we can't even get near him. Ares was much weaker than this. I could have probably killed him if I had more time or still had all my stuff with me, but sadly, I don't have access to anything right now except my armor. Do you truly have no other way to kill Hercules? Like some secret divine weapon or something? If you do, this is a very good time to use it. I asked Hippolyta, at which she looked slightly offended, especially after hearing me mention that I could have taken care of Hercules if I had all my weapons with me. No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to kill Hercules. His death has already been prophesied by the fates. He is supposed to die at the hands of an avatar of war, which is now impossible since Ares, even before dying, was always one of his biggest allies, and now, Hercules himself has the partial powers of a god of war as well. She explained with a weak snort. We are doomed. A prophecy? What type of prophecy? Can you say it? Maybe we can get a clue from it or something. I curiously demanded to know. Hearing my request, Hippolyta could not help but release a sigh as she nodded fine. Since we are going to die anyway, I might as well humor you. As much as I remember, it is supposed to go something like this. In the ancient scrolls of fate, it is writ that the traitor, the proud son of Zeus, shall meet his end in battle, bathed in blood and sweat, for only the avatar of war, a man-beast, who is born of the night, can end his earthly feat. Thus have spoken the gods, in whispers of the deep. Hearing the prophecy, Diana could not help but click her tongue in annoyance. A beast born of night and war, we don't have anyone like that on this island. We can't use the prophecy to our advantage. We will have to fight him directly. We have no other choice, she said while getting up from the ground. There is always a choice. And if we don't, then we have to make one. Even if it is a very hard and very questionable choice to make. I muttered in response to Diana's words as I once again looked at Ares' helm quietly lying on the ground, almost like it was beckoning me to pick it up and try it on. Born of war. This is going to be a gamble, but if it succeeds, then this will change everything. Bruce Wayne POV. I hope I don't regret this, I murmured quietly before swiftly grabbing Ares' helm from where it was lying near Hercules' feet. The demigod remained so engrossed in his spellcasting, his eyes shut in concentration, that he remained completely oblivious to my actions. Seeing the helm in my hands, both Hippolyta and Diana were confused. Wait, what are you doing with that? The Queen of the Amazons asked with a raised brow. Probably saving all of your lives. Along with mine, I whispered the last part more to myself before slipping the demonic, evil-looking helm over my head. No, Bruce, don't, Diana yelled, trying to stop me, even though she had no idea what was going to happen. Nobody did. Even I didn't have a complete idea of what I was doing. I was completely acting on instinct here and going in blind. I wouldn't say I liked it, but I didn't have any other choice. Defeating a full-fledged god wasn't that easy, especially when the said god was trying to revive a titan that was apparently even more powerful than most average gods. Huh? Nothing is happening. Did all my effort of acting cool and mysterious just go to waste? Sigh, it seems even my luck and innate intuition have abandoned me at my final moments. I mused to myself with a wry smile on my lips before trying to remove the helmet, hoping to salvage what little dignity I had left. However, as soon as I tried to remove the helmet, something inexplicable happened. It further tightened around on my head, clenching my skull like it was trying to crack it open. It was only my superhuman durability that saved me from losing consciousness or dying on the spot. Not just my head, Ares' helmet began to affect the rest of my body as well. As a strange energy began to emerge from the helmet and circulate through my entire body, I could feel my veins getting thicker, threatening to explode as literal boiling blood coursed through them. It felt like my muscles were exploding with unexplainable power, while my skin felt harder than the hardest of metals. Everything around me turned into a blur as my vision became stained with red. User mental status deviating. User mental status now healthy. User mental status deviating. User mental status now healthy. User mental. New armor template has been registered. Armor now transforming into new selected pattern. The nanobots all over my body slowly began to shift from their positions, forcing my armor to change shape as well. It fused with Ares' helmet more fluidly, while becoming bulkier with a more demonic-esque design compared to its previous middle-aged one. Okay, this might have been a bad idea. I somehow murmured, teeth clenched against the stabbing headache splitting my head apart. Even my mental shields were on the verge of collapsing as a dense mist settled over my thoughts, obscuring the clarity of my mind. What is that armor? He looks like Ares now, only more dangerous. Is Bruce all right in there? Diana asked her mother with a frown. I don't know, Diana. But now, I understand what he wanted to achieve by wearing that helmet. He has somehow forcefully forged a direct connection to the god of war. Ares' divine power is currently flowing through your friend's body. Hippolyta exclaimed in a voice of disbelief. By Hera, that's impossible. A mortal carrying the power of a god? His mind should not be able to bear that kind of burden, especially if that power belongs to someone like Ares. Bruce is in danger. We need to do something to help him. Diana voiced her concerns, panic lacing her voice as she kept trying to come up with solutions to help her new friend. However, her mother just gave her a cold look in return. We won't do anything, because we can't do anything. The connection is already made. Even if he is not completely gone, he will be soon. Killing a god has its consequences, and fate has chosen that boy to suffer those very consequences. Hippolyta uttered with a deep breath, like she was almost preparing for what was to come. Now, all we can do is pray and hope for the best. Hope that we are still alive by the time this unfortunate day ends. She spoke without paying any attention to the sad and guilty face of her daughter. Inside Bruce's mind palace. What? Why was I suddenly transported here? I thought I was finally going to have an epic fight with Hercules. I mumbled unhappily while surveying my surroundings. I was back within the confines of my mind palace. My mind library, to be exact. However, something was different here today. The entire atmosphere of the library, which was the core of my mind, looked gloomier than normal, like emitting a sense of deep and ominous foreboding. Moreover, the entire structure seemed to be trembling every few minutes as if being attacked by some unseen force. Concerned about the security of my mental fortress, I swiftly activated the multitude of television screens mounted on the walls of my inner mental library. They were specially made by me to provide real-time surveillance of every nook and cranny of my mental dungeon, and were precisely intended for emergencies such as this. Most screens displayed identical scenes, different sections of the dungeon shrouded in a darker atmosphere than usual, experiencing periodic tremors at different intervals. Yet, amidst this, a notable anomaly caught my attention. Certain areas of the dungeon walls were covered by a blood-red moss-like substance, their tendrils attempting to corrupt my mind while slowly corroding its defenses. However, that was not all. On another screen, a dark, imposing figure engaged in combat against a swarm of hundreds of xenomorphs with just a warhammer in his hand. Clad in heavy armor, the figure fought with almost mechanical precision, not uttering even a single word while endlessly slaying the ugly monsters without rest. But contrary to his silent nature, his way of fighting was entirely different and somewhat familiar. He was fighting like an experienced bloodthirsty savage, each strike of his hammer meant to swiftly crush his foes. Ares, I muttered, recognizing the armored figure. So, I am under a mental attack due to wearing his helmet, maybe under a spiritual attack as well. God damn it. I cursed at my misfortune. Don't misunderstand. My mental shields were more than powerful enough to hold even his godly remnant ego back, but that was only if I focused completely on strengthening and fortifying my mental defenses. But currently, I don't have that luxury. I needed to focus and do my best to stop Hercules and whatever he was trying to summon, not protecting myself from the psychic attack of a rabid god. However, in that case, my mental defenses would only be able to hold the psionic Ares for 20 minutes at most without me actively reinforcing my mental fortifications, which meant I only had 20 minutes to stop Hercules. I am glad I made those agents super strong. They possess the capability to manipulate xenomorphs and inhabit their bodies, rendering them nearly immortal as long as a single xenomorph remains. Their leader, Agent Smith, can even replicate himself onto others trying to invade my mind and thus take complete control over their minds. Although I doubt he would be able to do the same with Ares' remnant ego. Nonetheless, every second they buy for me is valuable. I thought before starting a mental countdown for 20 minutes on one of the screens. In the outside world on Themyscira, omniscient POV, nu omicron iota xi epsilon tau iota pi lambda epsilon tau omicron upsilon cairo nu omicron upsilon, alpha iota nu iota epsilon alpha pi epsilon tau iota tau nu alpha tau omega nu delta upsilon tau iota kappa nu alpha iota theta omega nu, theta epsilon omicron tau eta delta nu alpha mu eta kappa alpha iota, tau eta delta iota alpha rho kappa epsilon alpha. Hercules continued to cast his spell using the energy from his own divine power along with his newly gained authority over the Well of Souls, the same well that the Amazons used as their private reincarnation cycle to make sure that every fallen Amazon could safely reincarnate and the next generation of Amazons could be replenished, making sure that every birth on Themyscira brought forth a female, but never a male. With a victorious smile playing on his lips and his eyes closed in utmost focus, he chanted the spell required for the ritual. Despite his initial joy at finally being able to overcome the Amazons after so many centuries of struggle, he still remained vigilant. In fact, he could not afford to be careless since he was not merely summoning some random monster, but was about to unlock the very gates of the pits of Tartarus itself, to call forth the same Titan that the Olympians had once banished and imprisoned at the most ruthless depths of Hades, the Greek hell. But while Hercules was engrossed in executing the ritual of resurrection, an unexpected event unfolded that Hercules could never even have dreamed of. Out of nowhere, the heaviest kick Hercules had ever felt in his life landed directly on his groin, the full power of the sudden blow bypassing even the defense of Hercules' thick metal armor. Hercules released a painful scream, abruptly halting the ritual as he experienced the worst agony that any man could ever feel in his life. Even though the kick had only lasted for a second, he could still clearly feel the sensation of the behemoth's foot wearing spiked metal plates that had just plunged onto his balls, forcing him to experience a world-ending level of pain. The Greek hero could even almost feel the taste of copper in his mouth, a bitter reminder that no matter how strong, Hercules still wasn't invincible. Who dares to attack the manhood of the great Hercules? He shouted in anger while looking around for the perpetrator of the despicable crime. Before he could register the figure in front of him, another blow came. This time, in the form of a headbutt as Ares' divine helmet almost made a dent in Hercules' forehead. A deep and heavy voice suddenly struck Hercules' dazed ears as he felt another Herculean punch connecting with his face. Blood for the Bat God, omniscient POV, stop. How dare you use these dirty moves on the great Hercules? The demigod growled in anger as he recovered from the pain assaulting his groin and face. A drop of thin golden liquid was even visible slowly trickling down his nose. You want to fight me? You want to fight the great Hercules in a battle? Fine then, let's have a battle. I will give you a fair chance to prove your strength against the god of might himself. But it won't change anything. You will still die by my hands by the end of today for how you have insulted me. No matter how much you struggle, I will still be the one winning at the end. Hercules roared in righteous rage as he made a pushing gesture at Batman with one of his hands like he was pushing the air toward him. Instantly, Bruce felt a force hitting me in my chest, threatening to propel him away from the Greek warrior. However, with his newfound godly strength, Bruce was easily able to resist the force while steadily moving forward toward Hercules in a slow but steady gait. The closer he got to him, the stronger the force of the push became, but it was nothing that the genius billionaire couldn't handle. Logically, Bruce shouldn't have been able to contest Hercules' godlike powers with just the remnant power of Ares left inside his helmet, but for some reason, even that leftover strength of the god of war was enough for him to easily resist Hercules without any significant difficulty. It almost seemed like Bruce wearing the helm was more powerful than even the version of Ares whom he had just fought a few minutes ago. How? But this should have been enough to even push Ares back. How are you still moving, mortal? Hercules muttered in confusion, but he didn't have enough time to be in shock because Bruce had already reached in front of him by that time. I am not Ares. Bruce's deep, almost inhumane voice hummed before he directed a punch at Hercules with his right hand. Having already anticipated the punch, Hercules easily blocked the hit with his own hand, but Bruce didn't stop at just that. A short silver-colored blade quickly formed from his armor around his left hand's wrist, which he used to stab Hercules' unguarded shoulder, an attack that Hercules unfortunately hadn't foreseen. Hercules groaned in pain before using his other hand to stop Bruce's blade from sinking further into his flesh. But the young Wayne used this as an opportunity. He headbutted Hercules using his new helm, resulting in a small sonic boom generated from the blow. But he didn't stop his attack at just one blow. Instead, he headbutted again and again until he was able to draw fresh golden blood from Hercules' broken nose and busted forehead where a nasty small gash became visible. The Greek warrior, too, didn't just stand still while this was happening. He tried using his strength to force Bruce to pull the blade out of his shoulder, but after failing multiple times, he changed strategies and started repeatedly striking the side of Bruce's stomach at the same place on his armor in an attempt to break through its sturdy defense. In fact, Hercules was even somewhat successful as his repeated punches were able to produce some small cracks in Bruce's armor to some extent, proving that he hadn't begun calling himself the god of might for no reason at all. Bruce, on the other hand, didn't just sit still and wait for his armor to crack further. Instead, he twisted his blade inside Hercules' shoulder to cause him as much pain as possible. The moment Hercules faltered even the slightest because of the immense pain in his shoulders, thus loosening his grip on Bruce's arm, Bruce pushed him back with one final headbutt, producing a boom sound in the air. Kia! Hercules could not help but grunt in pain as he hatefully looked at Bruce with a venomous gaze. How did you? He tried to ask, but Bruce interrupted him before he could even finish asking his question. I used small parts of Batmanium inside my armor. The blade is made of that. That stuff is dangerous to even gods. He answered without bothering to explain to Hercules what Batmanium even was. And mixed with the durability and anti-healing properties of carbonadium, it is even more lethal. It might not be enough to kill a god, but it can definitely be used to torture one. Bruce further thought with a smile. You are not just confident, but arrogant too. I like it. Men should be exactly like that, like lions. A few centuries ago, I would have loved to fight to the death with you, just two men proving their superiority over the other. But unfortunately for you, I am no longer a man, I am a god now. He snickered before bringing up his hand and making a show of clenching it. Immediately, heaps of sand began to solidify around the Greek warrior, taking the shapes of various weapons like spears and blades before starting to float around him, all aiming at Bruce. I will show you how gods fight, Hercules muttered with a snort before lightly flicking his fingers, causing all the newly formed weapons to rush towards Bruce at breakneck speeds. How a god fights, huh? Interesting, maybe I should try it too. Bruce lightly mumbled to himself. He calmly raised up his hands to protect himself from the storm of blades approaching him, which almost made Hercules release an amused chuckle, but contrary to his imagination, Bruce wasn't at all pinned to the ground under a fury of blades like he had imagined. Instead, all the weapon constructs melted as soon as they got within a certain distance to the billionaire. You have access to Ares' other powers besides his strength as well? Hercules asked while wiping away the golden blood from his face. There was clear amusement in his voice. However, Bruce didn't bother to give any reply to Hercules. Instead, he looked at his hands with mild surprise like he was trying to understand his own powers. He almost looked shocked at what he could do. As Bruce continued curiously examining the armor on his hands, the temperature around him rose, soon reaching a level where not just the grass and the plants but even the soil itself was burning away from the immense heat generated by his body. I can feel it. I can feel myself getting stronger with the war. Every drop of bloodshed as a result of the war is making me stronger, all the death and destruction giving me almost a sort of twisted pleasure. It's almost euphoric, Bruce mumbled as an ecstatic feeling coursed through his entire body. This power is immensely dangerous. It can make any sane man go crazy with lust for power, and its potential to corrupt is immense. I'll have to end this quickly. He thought out loud while stretching both of his hands in a T-pose like Jesus. Let's see what else I can do. Instantly the sky darkened under the effect of his divine power. Lightning crackled throughout the entire sky as a storm began to rage over the entire island of Themyscira. As soon as he extended his right hand towards Hercules, torrents of lightning began to strike the Greek warrior from the sky, almost looking like an entire storm had exploded over a single person. Boom boom sizzle sizzle, dozens of lightning strikes directly hit Hercules and his surroundings, burning not just him but also everything around him. A layer of smoke spread around him, covering a major part of the beach while parts of the sand around him changed into solidified glass. Using lightning on a son of Zeus. Cough cough, you sure do have some guts, Hercules exclaimed with an annoyed smile amid coughs as he looked at the minor burns on the upper layer of his skin. Ha ha ha, I am really lucky that I inherited a good part of his immunity to lightning and thunder attacks, while you are lucky that my father has been missing after he waged that war against Ares. Otherwise, I can't even contemplate what curse he would have given you if he had found you using a lightning attack against his favorite child. Hercules cackled proudly. However, Bruce wasn't there standing and listening to his boasts anymore. By the time the smoke cleared, and everything became visible, Bruce had already moved in front of him and was in an arm's distance. I wonder how hard I can hit with my new strength. Bruce mused out loud before hitting him with the meanest right hook in the history of right hooks that shattered part of Hercules' perfect jaw. Boom, in just a single hit that sounded like a grenade explosion causing tremors even in the air, Ares was forced to kneel on one of his knees. However, Bruce was nowhere near done with him. He held Hercules with his left hand while continuing to repeatedly hit him with his right. 1, 2, 3. Bruce was not even done after hitting him with 7 consecutive punches. Why you? Hercules still tried his best to resist by trying to punch Bruce with both of his hands at once. Despite Hercules' valiant effort, his resistance waned as Bruce easily intercepted both of his punches with ease. In front of his newly evolved senses and extensive combat experience, Hercules almost seemed sluggish to Bruce. With a swift motion, Bruce seized both of Hercules' arms, rendering him immobile before headbutting the god of might again. Unleashing another thunderous sonic boom, the sheer power behind the blow drove Hercules further deeper into the sand, nearly causing him to lose consciousness from the overwhelming pain. You love your face, don't you, Hercules? The face that you once used to charm the queen of the Amazons into your trap. The same face that made you into one of Greece's most good-looking heroes. Bruce questioned, his left hand gripping Hercules' hair firmly as his right hand balled into a fist before his captive's face. I wonder, how will you fare without it? Wait. Stop, please, have some mercy. Let me recover. Show some honor as the avatar of Ares. Hercules weakly begged as he felt an immense threat to his perfect face for the first time in the last millennia. Mercy. You want mercy? Unfortunately for you, you won't be getting any from me here. Also, as I have already said before, I am neither Ares nor some avatar of him doing his bidding. I am Bruce Wayne, the merciless. Omniscient POV. Boom 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 boom, shockwaves spread throughout the beach, blowing sand all over the place as Bruce, adorned in his merciless armor, beat the shit out of Hercules, treating his face like some sort of premium-grade punching bag. Hercules, in return, could not do anything to resist his strikes. He had subconsciously already admitted defeat in his mind, even though he refused to say it out loud. In fact, the Greek warrior should have already lost consciousness and fainted multiple times by now, but the golden ichor running through his veins proved his biggest bane as it refused to let him keel over. He was forced by his own godlike stamina to endure Bruce's metal-shattering punches one after another directly in the face without being able to do anything against it at all. And while Bruce was having his way with him, all Hercules could do was just keep kneeling down and silently take it like a bitch. He had even already prayed to his father for help a few times as a last resort, but as he had expected, there was no indication of any divine help coming his way. Hercules just hoped that by the time this monster was done with him, he would at least be alive due to his newly gained divine immortality. But unfortunately for him, this was not Hercules' day and fate had other plans for this hero. "I can feel it. Your warm blood getting colder, losing its shine. It seems that you have already given up, Hercules. Weren't you the one challenging me as a man?" As expected, even after possessing all that power, even after getting the divinity of strength, you're just a B-grade god. A pity. Whoever said, "Never meet your heroes," had never uttered wiser words. Bruce said with a deep chuckle before grabbing Hercules by his throat. As Bruce tightened his hold around Hercules' neck, the Greek warrior with a now bleeding and disfigured face quickly spoke up in a hurry. "If you do anything to me, the gods, they wouldn't do anything at all because they had abandoned you a long time ago. I have no idea if gods truly care for mortals or not, but they definitely don't care for giant assholes like you who think themselves above other men, who grape women thinking that it is their right to do so. You, Heracles of Greece, might have been a hero once, but now, you're nothing more than one of the countless third-rate villains you yourself had fought, back in your golden days. You have become the very thing that you used to despise, an arrogant, corrupted, selfish asshole." Bruce interrupted him before slowly lifting him up in the air with just one hand. For a few seconds, there was an expression of visible hopelessness and fear in Hercules' eyes, but soon something changed inside him. For some reason, those emotions were slowly replaced by pure unadulterated and uncontrolled anger after he processed Bruce's words. It was like he had suddenly remembered something from his old life, a memory that was buried deep with him, a nightmare that he was trying very hard to forget and had even almost succeeded up until Bruce reminded him of it. "Yes, you are right. Of course, the gods don't care for men like you and me. They care only about themselves. Oh, how could have I forgotten everything that we mortals had to face because of gods in that era, all the suffering they put us through. I have truly fallen low to join hands with the same god who had once manipulated me to force myself over the Amazon Queen. How could I have forgiven the gods who had forced me to do unspeakable deeds in the name of the 12 labors, the same gods who had taken my family from me? I truly am the worst human being ever, a stain upon mankind," Hercules muttered with anger in his voice, yet drops of tears were slowly streaming down his face. "Wait, did I suddenly get Naruto's powers or something? When the hell did I get the power of friendship and love fighting on my side?" Bruce mentally wondered while listening to Hercules' rant. "You are a human being too, a mortal, right? You are absolutely correct in assuming that the gods don't care about me. They don't care about anyone. All they care about is maintaining their power and authority. However, there is one thing they care about. They love a good show. So, I will give it to them. One final show for them to enjoy before they are wiped out," Hercules stated with a confident grin, as he looked toward the giant mountain at the corner of the island. Epsilon gamma epsilon rho omicron upsilon kappa alpha iota pi rho epsilon tau eta theta sigma eta sigma omicron upsilon mu epsilon tau alpha xi tau omega nu zeta nu tau omega nu omega mu gamma alpha tau iota tau nu alpha chi rho eta sigma iota mu omicron pi omicron eta sigma epsilon tau eta delta nu alpha mu sigma omicron upsilon nu alpha mu epsilon tau alpha tau rho psi epsilon iota alpha kappa mu alpha kappa alpha iota tau omicron upsilon alpha theta nu alpha tau omicron upsilon sigma epsilon theta nu eta tau omicron kappa alpha iota mu epsilon tau nu alpha xi epsilon sigma pi sigma epsilon iota tau iota zeta omega tau omicron upsilon gamma iota alpha pi nu tau alpha alpha phi pi nu iota sigma epsilon iota alpha pi epsilon tau. He quickly muttered in ancient Greek before Bruce could do anything to stop him. Rumble rumble, a heavy tremor shook the entire island of Themyscira as soon as Hercules had finished his chanting. Thunder rattled in the sky while the sea waves around the island suddenly increased in intensity as a deafening silence seemed to spread around the place. Roar, a loud roar suddenly came from the mountain as the calm summit suddenly fractured and turned into an active volcano with fire, lava, and ash being thrown everywhere, out of its newly opened mouth-like crater. "What did you do?" Bruce muttered almost in a whisper as he observed the apocalyptic scene with wide eyes. "What did you do?" He yelled this time, feeling a rageful fire building up within his chest as he further tightened his grasp on Hercules' throat, popping a couple of his blood vessels in the process. "I finished the ritual. But it was not to win and rule the world as I had previously planned like a fool, but to take the revenge that I had once sworn on my dead family. That Titan will do what should have been done a long time ago. He will destroy all the gods once he is done slaying these female puppets that the gods have raised on this island as their entertainment and personal army. Each and every immortal in this world will die at the hands of Iapetus, the Titan of mortality." Hercules painfully groaned out in a burst of mad laughter even though he struggled to breathe under Bruce's hold, much less talk. "I was wrong. You aren't just a massive asshole but an incredibly stupid one at that too. Blaming the gods for everything you have done, all the wrong you have committed till now, and acting like you were just a victim. Pathetic. But since you are ready to sacrifice all the innocent lives on this island just for some petty millennia-old revenge that you didn't even remember a few minutes ago, then you truly deserve what I am going to do to you." Bruce snarled, blaming himself for not killing the idiot before he had a chance to crank up the difficulty of this thing to hell level. "Do whatever you want with me. I am dying anyway since I have used up most of my life force to bring the Titan back to its peak. I have already fulfilled my destiny. I don't care if you kill me a few minutes before my time or continue to torture me." Hercules had a satisfied look on his face as he relaxed his muscles, waiting for his death that he could already see approaching. "Your destiny?" I snorted with a chuckle. "Destiny is nothing but the effort we put in. And it looks like your death was meaningless because there is no way I will accept this destiny. I will change it with my own hands, and I will be using your infamous strength to do so too," Bruce declared before reaching deeper into the divine powers held within Ares' helmet. From the very beginning, Bruce had been able to sense a connection between Ares and Hercules, or should he say, between Ares' helmet and Hercules' new divine powers. He had been wondering if he could somehow use this to his advantage, but he was struggling to find out how. However, now that he was in direct contact with Hercules' body, he could sense that particular connection getting stronger. In fact, the more Hercules' willpower to resist and fight decreased, the more Bruce felt like he could tap into that connection to control the divinity that Hercules had recently gained. Seeing that the Greek warrior had completely given up resistance, Bruce began to focus and use the energy from Ares' helmet to connect with Hercules' own divine energy before trying to forcefully bring it into himself. In short, he was attempting to absorb all of Hercules' newly acquired godly powers. Soon enough, some sort of energy began to enter Bruce's body from Hercules through the connection. However, the feeling wasn't pleasant at all. There was no soothing or pleasant feeling. In fact, it actually felt more like hot molten lava had suddenly replaced the blood flowing in his veins. But the process was still extremely smooth. The way Hercules' power began to smoothly merge with the helmet's residual energy, Bruce almost felt they were two pieces of the same puzzle that were always meant to be together, a match made in heaven. "Wait, why are you absorbing the rest of my divinity? And why can't I seem to be able to stop it?" "Stop, don't. You have no idea what you are doing. This won't end well. Your mortal body and soul can't contain or channel all that power. You will be disturbing the balance of this universe if you do this. Stop." Hercules tried to separate himself from Bruce's iron grip but failed spectacularly as the famous godly strength he was known for rapidly left his body, entering Bruce instead. In just a few moments, Hercules' once muscular, tall, and well-built body was reduced to a husk of its former self as his skin dried up and his muscles disappeared into thin air. Even his hair fell off while his eyes and cheeks sunk in, making him look like a living skeleton. Within a few seconds, Hercules could no longer even talk as his saliva dried up and his teeth fell out like a bunch of dried leaves. "Weak," the merciless exclaimed before throwing the dried-up body of Hercules to the side like trash. He didn't even need to finish the job with his all blades. He could sense that Hercules was already dead. After all, even the Greek demigod's godly immortality had been completely sucked off by Bruce. "You know, it will be a true disappointment if Shazam is as weak as you too," Bruce snickered mockingly as he moved his attention to where Hippolyta and Diana previously were. However, only Hippolyta was still lying there, applying pressure on her wounds while watching him with wary eyes. Diana, on the other hand, was nowhere to be seen. A few seconds after spreading his senses around to search for the princess, he finally found her as he muttered in realization. "So she went ahead to battle the pest before me. He could not help but chortle from within his armor at the opportunity of witnessing so many bloody battles in a single day. So many gods to kill, so many Amazons to tame, and a war to win. It's a jackpot for me. Ha 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 ha. He laughed. I am having so much fun, but this war still lacks something. He mumbled to himself while slightly tilting his head, wondering how he could make this entire thing more interesting as he sensed different battles happening simultaneously all over the island. The Amazons were initially winning the war against the golems with almost no casualties due to their superhuman physiques and combat experience. In fact, most of the rock golem army had already started to fall back after I slaughtered Ares. However, with the rebirth of the titan named Iapetus, members of a similar yet different army began to emerge to fight the Amazon warriors again. These new warriors looked similar to the golems, appearance-wise. But instead of rocks, their bodies were composed of some sort of iron-like metal, and they were much more agile and organized while also being way better fighters than the rock golems. After Iapetus awakened, these monsters rose up from the ground like an army of the dead and instantly started attacking the Amazons without any warning. They were not only a very efficient army but also had considerable numbers as well, something that even these experienced warriors would find tough to handle. So this barrier around the island is the reason why no machinery ever finds Themyscira. He wondered aloud while looking at nothing in particular before raising his hand towards the sky. As soon as he did that, a beam of dark energy left his index finger towards an invisible target. However, after traveling for some distance, the energy hit something in the sky, revealing a thin golden barrier covering the entire island protectively like a dome. Anti-magic, anti-technology, kinetic energy repellent, as well as a feature to make this island undetectable and unplottable on any kind of map like some dope Harry Potter hideout. Zeus truly went up and above to protect his little pets. He smirked as he waited for his energy to make a hole in the center of the barrier. He had a big grin under his helmet as he could already sense what was outside the barrier, waiting for him. You can now enter the island, Cortana. Your help will be invaluable in decimating the lowly Titan's insignificant army. He declared before thousands upon thousands of drones of different shapes and sizes began entering the island through the hole in the barrier, spreading around the island as quickly as possible. I was finally able to reach you, sir. I thought I would have to start contacting angels, demons, and sorcerers to accurately locate you. A high-tech-looking white floating sphere, larger than most of the other drones, flew toward the armored Bruce and voiced after scanning him using a scanner. By the way, I love the new armor design, sir, but that helmet is emitting extreme energy radiation levels, the levels of which I have never detected before. It is even actively connected with the suit and your biological body as well. Are you sure you want to keep it on, sir? It almost looks like a parasite to me. Cortana vocalized her concerns. Parasite? You should not speculate about what you don't know, Cortana. This helmet is one of the most powerful magical objects I have ever come across. It holds unprecedented power. With this, I am almost invincible. An invincible god. He retorted with a displeased voice. Don't worry about stuff that doesn't concern you. Just do what I command and destroy every one of those metal undead. He ordered while gently stroking his precious helmet, feeling like he was forgetting something important. I am sorry, sir. I might have spoken too prematurely. I will collect more data about the object first, before making any more claims. She apologized in a slightly melancholic voice before floating away to complete her orders. And as for you, my beautiful queen, he suddenly turned towards Hippolyta and walked up to her in a confident manner. You are indeed beauty personified, almost enough to go to war for. It would be a waste if you were to die here. He kneeled in front of her before caressing his hand against her cheeks and brushing her hair behind her ears, which magically healed all her wounds instantly like they were never there to begin with. All the while Hippolyta just stared at him with furrowed brows. Ares' power has started affecting you, Bruce. You have been able to hold on for long, but if this keeps on, you will not just be his avatar or inheritor while wearing that helmet, but you will become the next Ares. Hippolyta warned in a measured voice, careful not to sound too forceful. She didn't want to give him the wrong idea after all. Nonsense. I have complete control over this helmet, and I still have time before my mental barriers start failing. I can easily take care of Iapetus before that. Maybe you are just envious of my godly strength. Bruce snorted before standing up to leave. That was before you absorbed Hercules' power along with the divinity that Ares had passed on to him. In fact, that helmet was the one to absorb all that godly power for you. With the increase in its power, its influence over your mind and soul might have increased as well. Hippolyta still tried to argue, but Bruce didn't give her a chance. He just ignored her and silently flew away towards the mountain where he had previously sensed Iapetus reviving, not wanting to listen to the Queen of the Amazons any further. Bruce, with his new powers, didn't even have to use the repulsors in his armor to fly anymore. He just leaped toward the location he wanted to reach, and he could feel himself traveling faster than the speed of sound. Above Mount Tartarus on Themyscira, omniscient POV. After so many years, I am finally free of that wretched place, free of my prison. Now, I can finally do what I was always meant to do and spread the gift of death among the gods, just like I am going to do to you, little Amazon. A giant monster with a rotting corpse for a body and red thorns around his armor arrogantly declared while looking in the direction of Wonder Woman, who was confidently standing in front of him, even though somewhat tired and gasping for breath. Both of their eyes were glowing with lightning in testament to their power as they faced each other without fear. Iapetus could sense a familiar aura around the girl, even though he could not remember where he had sensed this familiar aura before. He was sure that she was one of the unholy godspawns that he needed to purge from this world. After I am done with you, I will drink the blood from every Amazon of Themyscira. Only then will my anger soothe. He growled before releasing a burst of lightning toward Diana that made a crater in the ground with its raw power. However, the Amazon princess was able to dodge it at the last moment while redirecting some of her own lightning with the help of her sword at Iapetus, which the Titan effortlessly blocked using his hand. His power seemed to be on a completely different level when compared to Ares and Hercules. Lightning powers are just getting too common nowadays, aren't they? Almost everyone seems to be able to use it. So, maybe try using something else for a change. A calm but ominous voice interrupted their standoff. For example, I like blood more than lightning. So, how about I try and see if I can choke you in your own blood? Omniscient POV, a demigod and a mortal possessed by the remnant spirit of a dead god think that they can defeat me. Heh. People must have truly forgotten who I am or what the Titans are capable of. No matter, I'll gladly remind this world of who the Titans really are, starting from you. Iapetus confidently chuckled with a voice that sounded like dozens of hammers striking against a piece of iron. As soon as he had finished speaking, a beautiful yet menacing silver spear appeared in his hand that he aimed at Bruce while still keeping his eye on Diana. A pale blue energy slowly coated the spear as he got ready to take on both foes before him. Diana was the first one to make a move as she jumped towards Iapetus while swinging her sword, trying to pierce his skull in one blow. But Iapetus easily parried the hit with his spear, not even bothering to take Diana seriously. The princess of Themyscira, however, had a trick up her sleeve. As soon as the Titan blocked her attack, her golden sword twisted in shape like it was made of clay. Its tip split into numerous thin tentacle-like blades that all attacked Iapetus together. But the Titan was too experienced to be taken by surprise with just that. The moment he saw the form of her sword change, he snorted before immediately pushing her away, his incredible strength propelling her far away from him. It seems Hephaestus has made you quite a good toy there. It will look very good in my hands after I take it from your cold dead body. Iapetus threatened, his eyes greedily glancing over the golden sword in Diana's clasp as blue lightning began to crack between his fingers. Without letting Diana take even a moment of respite, he sent multiple bolts of lightning in her direction in an attempt to overwhelm her so that she would not be able to defend herself, but he had forgotten about someone else who was also present there. Bruce, in a flash of blinding speed, quickly intercepted the Titan's lightning bolts, tackling them with his own body. His armor, which had previously failed to protect Bruce after being struck by a few lightning strikes back during his flight over the Aegean Sea, didn't have a single scratch on it even though it was struck directly by Iapetus lightning. What, have you forgotten about me or something? You should know that the real danger to you here is not her but me. Bruce uttered with a sinister laugh as he grabbed Iapetus' entire head in a flash of speed before picking him up and thrashing him against the earth, creating a wide crater on the ground with a bam sound, blowing dust everywhere. Strength worthy of a god indeed. However, unfortunately, I am a Titan, not a god. Iapetus retorted as he intercepted Bruce's fist before it reached his face. Instead, with a swift movement, he delivered a punch charged with pure lightning at Bruce's figure to disorient him. Meanwhile, the silver spear which had earlier been dislodged from the Titan's grip during the scuffle surged back into action, flying towards Bruce, aiming to impale his chest. However, Bruce reacted quickly and summoned one of the all-blades into his grasp, effortlessly deflecting the deadly projectile away from him with a swing of his sword. Interesting. I have never seen that weapon. Nor do I recognize the style of craftsmanship on it. But for it to be able to stand up against my weapon. Tell me, "Who gave you that sword, mortal?" Iapetus asked after rising to his feet. He lightly dusted his shoulder as if removing some invisible filth before raising his hand to catch the spear that came flying into his palms on its own. "This sword? Honestly, I have no idea. But maybe you'll get to know it better after being impaled on it," Bruce responded before raising one of his hands and focusing his power. Instantly, sparks of black-colored lightning began to dance on his fingers, which he directed at Iapetus, Darth Sidious style. The lightning stream, though not nearly as intense as the ones previously released by Iapetus or Diana, had something else that made up for its lack of power. It was much more damaging in the sense that wherever the dark lightning hit, it seemed to die. Even the lush green earth itself became nothing but a scorched piece of dirt once affected by lightning. But despite how dangerous of an attack Bruce's black lightning was, Iapetus was still able to block it with his spear, even though his face now showed a dark tinge of worry. Seeing an opportunity, Wonder Woman, with a flick of her wrist, hurled her enchanted golden tiara towards Iapetus, the razor-sharp edge slicing through the air like a bolt of lightning. But the Titan was again quick to react as he deflected the projectile with a sweep of his hand. However, Batman seized the opportunity to strike once again, confidently charging forward and clashing his all-blade against Iapetus' spear. Thunderous sounds of explosions echoed through the ruins as Batman and Iapetus engaged in a fierce duel. Each of their blows sent shockwaves through the earth, destroying more and more of the mountain. Sparks flew, as destructive energies from both sides began to collide against each other through their weapons. Bruce's black lightning clashed against Iapetus' blue storm in an all-out battle of dominance as the surrounding environment slowly spiraled into destruction. Iapetus, who initially had a very confident expression on his face, soon began to show signs of surprise and confusion instead. He had felt the divine power hidden inside Bruce and knew that despite the semi-immortal having reached the same level of power as an average adult Olympian, he was nowhere near close to Iapetus himself. However, Bruce was slowly getting there. With every blow, with every strike, every passing moment, the mortal was becoming stronger and faster. It was almost like their battle itself was helping him become better somehow. Meanwhile, as Bruce and Iapetus clashed, Wonder Woman was circling around the battlefield like a tigress hunting for prey, her keen eyes searching for an opening. As soon as she spotted a vulnerability in the Titan's defense, she didn't hesitate to unleash a barrage of lightning-fast strikes against his weak points, her sword twisting in its form and shape to deal as much damage to the Titan as possible. But Iapetus proved to be a formidable foe, his thick hide absorbing the brunt of both of their assaults without ever faltering. But still, as the battle raged on, Iapetus slowly but steadily began to be pushed back by the duo. Even his mighty strength began to weaken in front of the combined power of Bruce and Diana. As Iapetus was getting pushed back, he was getting desperate. His pride did not warrant him being dominated like this. So with a scream full of anger and desperation, he finally unleashed a devastating blast of energy from the tip of his outstretched spear, sending both Batman and Wonder Woman flying backward with a force that seemed to defy gravity. The lightning was so powerful and destructive that it was able to even level the entire mountain to a plain land while clearing the surrounding sky of any clouds. Seeing the surrounding destruction, Iapetus nodded with satisfaction. "I am getting rusty," he muttered to himself before cracking his neck while checking if there was any damage to his spear. He was almost confident that he had defeated his foes if not killed them completely by scorching them to a pile of useless ash. However, the very next moment, his attention was grabbed by something else. My soldiers. They are getting destroyed so quickly? Well, no problem. I just need to raise more soldiers. So many more that no army in the world can even hope to stand up against them." He mumbled to himself while staring in the direction of Hippolyta's castle. With a confident look on his face, he raised his spear in the air. "Arise, my servants, arise and K-Ch-H." Iapetus gagged on his own words as his body suddenly froze under the effect of a foreign power. "Well, what is happening?" he somehow uttered, trying his best to move his body. It was like his body had somehow grown cold and rigid. Quite a powerless feeling, isn't it? It is like you are standing in front of an inevitable fate that will destroy you and everything you have ever known in your life. No matter how much you try to stop that destiny from happening, it will happen, and it will change everything. That's what war is, and what you are feeling right now is the true fear of war. The deep voice of Bruce declared. As the dust cleared and the surroundings became visible, Bruce's figure was seen, still standing upright. There was heavy damage to his armor, but most of the damage was quickly getting repaired themselves on their own. The only place that wasn't at all affected by Iapetus' attack was his helmet, which seemed as spotless as ever. A few meters away, even Diana looked mostly unharmed as well. She had covered herself with the metal of her sword at the right time and was able to effectively protect herself from the damage. Initially, I thought I could feel your blood and control it. Well, I still think I can. But I can also do so much more, Bruce said while slowly walking towards the frozen Iapetus. Right now, I can not only feel your blood and body, but even your very soul as well. Bruce, we should try to seal him back as fast as possible. No mortal has ever been able to even defeat a Titan, much less kill it, Diana advised as she observed Bruce materialize both of the All-Blades in his hands. However, both Iapetus and Bruce ignored Diana's words. They were now focused only on each other. I was wrong. No remnant of a god can display this much power. He somehow spoke through his frozen mouth. You are something else, something more, he concluded. Bruce, on the other hand, just kept quiet before raising both of his flaming swords up in the air while giving the Titan one last look. I proclaim you guilty, and with that, he brought both of his blades down, piercing his blades directly into Iapetus' chest. The Titan could not help but scream in pain as he felt the steaming blades of his twin swords, but he quickly brought himself under control. I am a Titan, the Titan Lord of the West. I won't die so easy. If I cannot stand over your cold dead body, I'll at least take you with me, he screamed before using the last bits of his strength to grab Bruce's helmet-wearing head with both of his hands. Bruce. Are you all right? Diana yelled in worry as she saw the burning figure of Iapetus grab Bruce's head in a last-ditch effort to kill him before a strange purple light entered Bruce's demonic helmet while the Titan exploded into a torrent of fire and ash. Bruce. There is no more Bruce here anymore. There is only the Merciless, he declared before advancing towards Diana with a cold look on his face. But before the ominous situation could further worsen, the armored figure suddenly fell unconscious on the ground for seemingly no reason at all, shaking the ground into a mini-quake because of the immense weight of his armor. Inside Bruce's mind palace, what in the name of Tartarus is this place? A hazy figure of Iapetus muttered under his breath as he observed the dark and ominous setting of the place he had just arrived in. During his last moments, he had tried to destroy his enemy by using his entire remaining mental and spiritual power to crush the semi-god's mind. Still, instead of getting the pleasure of seeing his enemy perish with him, he found himself within the mind of his foe instead. Bang bang! Iapetus heard a banging sound from behind him. Turning around to see what was happening, he found a bulky figure looking strangely similar to the being he had just fought a few moments ago, hitting a huge metal door with his axe, while thousands of dead bodies of weird and ferocious-looking monsters lay around his feet. What the? Omniscient POV, what in the name of the cursed pits of Tartarus is happening here? Iapetus muttered to himself in disbelief as he looked at the bulky figure trying its best to destroy a huge metal door, its large muscular frame eerily similar to the figure he had just fought a few moments ago in the real physical world, except for the fact that its armor was severely damaged at various spots by some highly corrosive acid that seemed to have originated from the dead bodies of those weird creatures lying around it. Indeed, the armored figure was so severely damaged and battered that it appeared scarcely able to move, let alone swing its massive battle axe to attempt to break through the large, thick door before it. However, its resolve to do precisely that stood in sharp contrast to the reality of the situation and its condition. So you were strong enough to enter here uninvited? A stoic, refined voice cut through Iapetus' thoughts as he felt a sharp, thick object impale his back like a blunt blade before he could react. Well, Mr. Iapetus, it seems my luck has turned. Just when I thought we were at a disadvantage, you presented yourself up like a spare battery. Thank you for your generous contribution. My creator will undoubtedly be pleased to hear of this later, the voice menaced, as the blade sank deeper and deeper into the Titan's back. As the blade sank deeper, Iapetus couldn't help but cry out in agony. A searing liquid began to slowly seep into his body through the gash on his back, the wetness permeating his psychic essence almost as if a malevolent force was insidiously slithering its way into him. Don't worry, the pain shouldn't last too long. Soon, you will be one of us. We required psionic energy to resist this parasite invading this mindscape, and the divine psychic energy that you are composed of should be just enough to fortify this place and make sure that we are powerful enough to not just completely evict this unwanted bug out of here, but also be what we are truly meant to be. Agents meant to protect this place and eradicate anyone threatening our creator's mind. The voice explained with pure confidence and disgust audible in his voice, his disgust directed at not just the psychic remnant of Ares, but even the Titan itself. IW won't. Iapetus tried to retort the assailant's words, but he could only mumble a few incomprehensible words before a black glue-like liquid substance completely covered him from head to toe, not even leaving a single inch of his bare skin. A few seconds later, the black liquid slowly contracted back to where it came from, which was the freshly made cut in the back of the Titan. Once the black liquid completely retracted, it could be seen that the huge form of Iapetus had shrunk to what was a normal human wearing a dark green suit and a pair of dark spectacles, looking exactly the same as the person standing behind him. Of course, if Bruce had been here, he could have easily recognized the two humans at a glance as copies of Mr. Smith from The Matrix. Mr. Smith. One of them nodded with a confident smirk. Mr. Smith. The other one nodded back with a smile that seemed to reflect the first one. Quite an upgrade, I have to say. This new addition will be quite useful. Now, to the more important matters. The former of the Agent Smiths muttered thoughtfully while sizing the other with a grin. It is time to evict this parasite from here and destroy the corruption before this disease spreads any further. He stated with a determined expression as he focused his attention on the bulky figure of Ares trying to strike down the door. Bruce Wayne POV. Where am I? I mumbled while surveying my surroundings, which surprisingly wasn't much. In fact, there was nothing at all around me except heavy mist and silvery white clouds that expertly blocked my vision. Wait, don't tell me that I am in heaven. Does that mean I am dead? Did the plan fail? I mentally muttered to myself in confusion, while wondering just how quickly I could make something that would enable me to escape from the afterlife back into the land of the living. Hello, Bruce. We have been waiting for you. An extremely enchanting voice suddenly announced from behind me, making me turn around in a hurry to see where the voice had exactly come from. However, the scene that welcomed me was quite unexpected. There were three extremely beautiful women of different ages calmly staring at me with amusement. A trio of angels? I wondered aloud with a startled face. We are not angels. Sorry if that disappoints you, mortal. I am Hera, the goddess of women, marriage, and family, as well as the queen of the Olympians. To my left is Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, while to my right is Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and the moon. The slightly older woman who identified herself as Hera elegantly introduced themselves. The Olympians. Oh shit. I couldn't help but curse out loud as I felt a headache coming my way. Is it because I killed Ares, Hercules, and Iapetus? I asked while raising one of my eyebrows in curiosity. I was not the least bit sorry for what I did. After all, why should I be sorry? God, demigod, or titan, all three of them were just useless pieces of shit. Sinners that I had to kill to make sure everyone else could live in peace, and I wasn't about to be even the least bit apologetic or regretful because of it. You misunderstand, mortal. We didn't summon you here because you killed two immortals of our pantheon. We were the ones who put you up to that task in the first place. If we didn't allow it, you wouldn't have been able to succeed in it so easily. What you did was a big help for us. We wanted to thank you for your service. She patiently explained. Wait. Are you saying that the three of you caused my plane to crash on Themyscira? You three are responsible for the Amazons arresting me, for the lightning strike ruining all my machines and tools, and for the sudden attack caused by Ares and Iapetus. I asked, furrowing my brows in barely contained anger. It isn't as you think, Bruce. Yes, we did cause that lightning storm and force you to crash on the Paradise Islands, but it was only so that we could somehow fulfill the prophecy written by the fates to kill Ares and Hercules before they could harm the Amazons and destroy the world. Whatever we did for the greater good of not just the Amazons, but also the mankind that you want to protect. Artemis was the one to speak up this time as her teenage form tried to explain the motive behind their action. Ah, I see. I am glad that I could somehow be of use to you and your plans. I said, struggling to keep the smile on my face. Can you send me back now? I still have a lot of work to do. He is going to hold a grudge, Athena's young adult form muttered with a sigh from the side. 100%. Artemis confirmed Athena's mumblings with a nod. Look, Bruce, Ares was my own son while Hercules was once my champion. Their deaths were unfortunate yet essential. It needed to happen for the gears of this world to continue turning without any interruptions. So even though we are sorry for what happened, we would gladly do it again if need be. That is how this universe works. Hera explained, her voice slightly cracking as she talked about Ares. No, I do understand. I can't complain about being used by someone when I don't even have the power needed to resist being used. Even humans tend to manipulate each other, So of course, God's doing it shouldn't come off too much as a surprise. I weakly shrugged at their words. Even though I was upset about the whole thing, of course, I wasn't going to rant about being manipulated by a bunch of goddesses. I was weak, and that was why I got manipulated by them into doing their dirty work. It was as simple as that. However, I wasn't just going to forget this. Instead, I was going to take this as a challenge and make sure that this doesn't happen again. I have been focusing too much on small-time criminals. I need to prepare against every possible scenario if I want to be truly invincible, including gods, demons, and everything in between. I need to grow so strong that no god or goddess ever dares to make use of me in any way, no matter how noble of a purpose it is. I thought to myself with determination. But before that, I have a question though. Where the hell am I? I asked. This is an astral realm. We summoned your astral spirit here to talk after we recently felt it weakening. We have been tracking you from the moment you landed on Themyscira, trying to communicate with you. But we couldn't manifest ourselves in the mortal world due to the rules, and your mental barriers and spirit were too strong for us to establish a direct connection to. It was only after you put on Ares' cursed helmet that the mental shields around your mind began to weaken, and we got the chance to summon your spirit here. Originally, we wanted to help you get rid of Ares' possession and take off his helmet as compensation for your service, but it seems that you have already taken care of it to some extent. Athena disclosed, her gaze meticulously capturing every subtle shift in my expressions. But we still owe you for your help in eliminating the threats of Ares, Hercules, and Iapetus while saving our daughters, the Amazons. If those three were successful in what they wanted to accomplish, then not just the Amazons but the entire world would have been at risk, especially with Zeus still missing. Therefore, if there is anything you want, you can ask us. We will try our best to help you. Hera offered. However, Artemis quickly interjected. As long as it doesn't involve making you a true immortal, transforming you into a god, or starting a battle with another pantheon. We cannot do those without all 12 Olympians agreeing to it. Inside Bruce's mind, Bruce Wayne POV. Damn those useless goddesses, I mumbled through my gritted teeth after finding myself back inside the core library of my mindscape. After those three told me to wish for anything as a prize for protecting the mortal world, I had humbly wished for all gods and goddesses to stop bothering me in the future or including me in their stupid plans and manipulations. According to me, it was fair compensation for the shit I went through because of them, including the loss of billions of dollars worth of equipment. However, not only they didn't agree with it, but they even had the galls to actually laugh at my face. In their own words, even if they could somehow prevent the members of their own pantheon from disturbing my peace without some important enough reason, ordering gods of other pantheons to do the same, however, was outside their jurisdiction. The best they could do was to warn all the Olympian gods and goddesses not to engage with me without a valid reason, while also spreading the news to some of their friendly pantheons and hoping that they would do the same as well. Now the thing is, in DC, the new gods and the Olympians are the most active among all the pantheons. So the Olympians not bothering me was good enough compensation for me. But of course, I didn't admit this out loud since I wanted to find out if I could further milk this situation. After all, there was something else that I wanted, something that was extremely difficult for me to gather on my own without the help of the gods. It was the nth metal, the mythical magical element exclusive to the DC multiverse that could supposedly do almost anything. I had read about it in some of the magical texts while training under Giovanni Zatara, and let's just say that the metal could be considered absolutely OP because of its anti-magic properties alone. However, for some reason, no sooner had I asked for the nth metal as my compensation, than the expressions on their faces completely changed. The calm and composed look on their faces quickly turned into annoyance as they seemed troubled by my request. They straight out denied my wish and made it pretty clear that they weren't going to give me even a single drop of nth metal no matter what, since according to their excuses, it was a resource that even they could not afford to give away so easily. But they did propose an alternative. They offered me a sample of something known as the 8th metal for my use. They insisted that it was the same material my all blades were made of, and was the primary component of most of the divine weapons wielded by the majority of the Olympians. Naturally, listening to their bold claims, I could not help but accept their offer upon considering all the practical applications the 8th metal could potentially have. After all, it was not every day that one could gain access to the stuff that was used to make world-destroying weapons. I wonder how they are even going to physically deliver that metal to me. Is it just going to appear out of thin air in the Batcave one day, or perhaps a chunk of metal will fall on me from the sky? I curiously thought out loud while calmly walking out of my mental library into the dungeon. Welcome back, Mr. Wayne. A refined voice interrupted my thoughts. Agent Smith appeared before me with his familiar ever-present smirk still present on his lips. "It's done. We have succeeded in evicting the parasite out of your mindscape," he informed me, bowing his head slightly as two more agents approached and stood behind him. You didn't destroy it?" I asked with an annoyed frown. I thought I gave clear instructions to destroy Ares' remnant psychic imprint permanently and assimilate into my own mindscape if possible. "The virus was imprinted deep within the helmet of Ares that you were wearing, sir, a virus that could not be removed by us alone. The upgrade we received after absorbing the other bug was enough to stop and remove that parasite from this place. But we could not eliminate it permanently, nor could we completely cleanse it from its original home, the helmet. It seems that some supernatural power was used in binding the helm with a small part of Ares' divine soul. Its purpose is to possess anyone trying to don the helmet. Even though the soul fragment is too weak to directly reincarnate Ares into the boy of the wearer, it can still directly affect the wearer's mind and soul while slowly transforming them into a replica of Ares, complete with his powers and his personality. So, it is best if we remove the parasite from the helmet only after thorough research and detailed analysis to truly make our actions effective," he patiently explained while adjusting his dark shades. "So, the helmet contains the Horcrux of a god," I muttered to myself with a weak smile after listening to his explanation. "Well, thank you for your service, Agent Smith. I will take care of everything else. You guys can go and relax. Or do whatever else that you do in your free time, maybe help the xenomorphs replenish their numbers or something," I offhandedly commanded, behaving like they were living beings and not just mental lines of psychic code that I had constructed in my mind as AI guards. Wait, why was I even asking them for the information when I could just access the memory of what happened while my astral spirit was away? I facepalmed at my own oversight, then pressed my hand against the nearest wall to play back the events that had unfolded here in my absence. Look at that. The fight was pretty one-sided with Ares getting one hell of a beating here. No wonder Smith was in such a good mood. My mental antivirus is just too good. Omniscient POV. Queen Hippolyta was currently outside her castle watching as her warriors apprehended the few remaining rock trolls that had failed to leave after Ares and Hercules died. Most of the monsters had given up and were not even fighting back, so there was no actual danger anymore, but as a queen, she had to be present here amongst her people to encourage them. Also, she didn't trust Bruce's flying machines that had completely surrounded the island. She had been backstabbed once because she had put too much of her trust in a man before. She was not going to repeat her mistake again, at least not without a solid enough reason. It was undoubtedly true that because of these very machines, they had managed to win against the metal undead without any significant loss of Amazonian lives, but exactly because she had seen the might of these machines, she knew just how dangerous they could be. She was confident in the fighting capabilities of all the Amazons in her queendom, but even she couldn't claim that they would easily win against thousands of those flying contraptions in an all-out war, especially because of how well-organized and versatile they were. The legions of these machines were so good that they were even able to eliminate and hold back hordes of those undead metal monsters when Iapetus was actively raising them from the ground with his magic. Up until the moment when the undead army crumbled on its own, most possibly due to Iapetus' defeat, those machines led by that female voice were dominating the war. The Amazonian warriors didn't even have to fight too seriously with how the machines always had their backs. That boy is more dangerous than I originally believed. I thought that his appearance after one of the oracles made the prophecy of a man killing a god was just a coincidence, but it seems that destiny truly doesn't make mistakes. I doubt I can stop him from leaving after this, but I still need to somehow make sure that he doesn't perceive the Amazons as a threat to him. We can take on the men's world if worst comes to worst, but a war against him and his machine army will cost us more than we can afford. Even I cannot fathom how much more dangerous and powerful he will grow with time. She contemplated with a frown on her face. I need to make sure that he will never be a danger to Amazons. But how? My queen, we have gathered the injured. It seems that we were rather lucky. None of the warriors have died or suffered a fatal injury. Though some have lost their limbs in battle, it is nothing that the purple ray can't handle. A royal guard approached Hippolyta and politely informed her after kneeling on one of her knees, breaking her out of her thoughts. I see, that is good news. Take all the injured to the healing chambers and start the purple ray treatment. Since no one died, we don't even need to use the well of souls this time to lay their spirits to rest, she commanded with an impassive face. Mother! All of a sudden, a familiar voice captured her attention as she discovered her daughter flying towards her in a hurry. Diana. What happened? Are you all right? Wait, what happened to Bruce, and why are you carrying him? Hippolyta asked with a puzzled expression on her face as she saw Diana carrying Bruce's limp figure in a princess carry. He lost consciousness after fighting Iapetus. Even though he won the battle, it looks like the fight took a pretty heavy toll on him. I tried to wake him up, but I could barely even feel his heartbeat. Also, his armor is behaving weirdly. Diana put Bruce down before pointing to his hefty armor, which for some reason was actively losing its size as substantial parts of the armor disintegrated into dust and floated away into the wind. Interesting, I can feel my connection to the armor re-establishing. Cortana's voice suddenly appeared out of nowhere as her white spherical drone slowly floated above the three. Something was obstructing me from properly connecting to Master's armor before, but now, it seems that the interference has been removed. It was most probably the helmet that was affecting his armor. Now that he is no longer wearing it, the armor seems to be changing back to its original design, while discarding the nanites that were damaged beyond repair in the battle. The AI explained. Wait, the helmet, where is it? Did it get destroyed? The Queen of the Amazons suddenly asked in an urgent voice as she looked around in search of Ares' helmet. There is a very good chance that it is cursed and can make any man wearing it go insane. It should either be completely destroyed or secured inside a place where no one can ever reach it. I left it back at the mountain after it came loose from his head once he lost consciousness. I think it should still be there. But enough about the helmet, Mother. Our top priority right now should be saving Bruce. He did all of this to save us and this island when he could have easily escaped, leaving us to our pitiful fates. We can never truly pay him back, but at least we can save him. Diana pleaded to her mother. Yes, you are right. We do need to do our best to save him. It is the least we can do for someone who helped us out in our time of need. Even if he is a man. Hippolyta responded with a tired sigh after taking a glimpse at her daughter's panicking face. We need to give him oxygen so that we can breathe. We need to find someone who can give him mouth to mouth. I'll do it. Diana quickly replied before bringing her face close to Bruce's. Hearing her daughter's words, Hippolyta was instantly going to say no to Diana's proposition, and instead ask one of her royal guards to do it, but suddenly, she seemed to remember something as her face brightened like she had just found out a solution to her problem. You know what, you are right. You should be the one to do it since he seems to trust you. She suggested, allowing Diana to continue what she was doing. Encouraged by her mother's suggestion, Diana gently sealed Bruce's mouth with her lips as she forcibly passed the oxygen in her mouth into his. Of course, at that moment both Diana and her mother had completely forgotten about Bruce's self-healing ability, with even Cortana not bothering to remind them of it. The AI was already content after silently taking a few scans of his body and concluding that his health was in no real danger. On the other hand, after a few seconds of locking her lips with Bruce, Diana began to feel a strange yet pleasurable feeling inside her mouth like something was wrestling against her tongue. The Princess of the Amazons could not help but release a low moan as she felt a pair of strong hands hug her from the front while something massaged her tongue. The lustful bat strikes again. Cortana muttered in a voice that no one could hear as she observed everything from above. At the same time, Hippolyta had a thoughtful expression on her face as she calmly stared at her beloved daughter French kissing a man right in front of her as she mumbled something incoherent to herself. Maybe this could work. Bruce Wayne POV. So, you have nothing to say for yourself? No excuse to give for forcefully kissing my daughter and groping her when she was trying to save your life. Queen Hippolyta asked with a stern voice from her throne while staring straight into my eyes, although it couldn't be determined from just her voice alone if she was truly angry or not. There were also dozens of other Amazons in the throne room who were looking at me with an equally suspicious gaze, but surprisingly none of them harbored any hatred for me like before. Instead, it could even be said that for some reason, they felt some amount of sympathy for me hidden deep within their eyes. Cortana was currently not present in the castle and was out handling some important stuff, one of which was to map the entire island of Themyscira and scan anything unique on the island. That is not fair, Mother. I was the one who went ahead and put my lips on his mouth to help him breathe, and you even permitted me to do it as well. He never took advantage of me in any way. Also, I am tired of everyone treating me like I am some sort of a doll who can be taken advantage of all the time and thus has to be protected. I am both old and strong enough to make my own decisions, including deciding whom to kiss and whom to not. And today, I want to testify in front of everyone by swearing in the name of Hera that Bruce did not do anything bad to me that was against my wishes. Diana defended me with a determined voice while raising one of her hands holding on to her glowing lasso of truth for everyone to view. Watching Diana defend me once again in front of her mother, I could not help but feel a sense of déjà vu. I didn't understand how I was in the same situation again in less than 2 days. But instead of pondering useless questions, I decided to help Diana prove me innocent and not a pervert like most of the other women here were most probably imagining me to be. Your Majesty, I was barely conscious when Diana gave me mouth-to-mouth to save my life. I had no idea what was happening to me. I don't even remember when this happened, much less kissing her. And even if I did kiss her subconsciously, it was an honest mistake, one that I had no control over. I am completely innocent. I pleaded. Honestly, the kiss was truly not my mistake. After all, it wasn't my fault that I was a man, right? I mean, I have needs and desires too, and truthfully, missing the opportunity of kissing back Wonder Woman was straight-out gay. I mentally snorted, agreeing with my thoughts while showing a straight face on the outside. Fine, I will ignore your perverted action just for this once. But remember, if you ever touch my daughter against her will, I will castrate you even if I have to sell my soul to Hades for it. Hippolyta threatened with a serious expression on her face. Now as for your previous crimes, in the light of recent events of how you provided your aid when we needed it the most in our battle against the evil gods and helped save hundreds of Amazonian lives, I hereby pardon you of any charges that may be placed against you and declare you as an official guest and ally of Themyscira, something that was advised by the oracle of our patron goddess, Hera herself. You are welcome to visit and stay in the Paradise Islands whenever and as long as you desire, she proclaimed in a booming voice, giving her judgment before looking at the faces of the other Amazons in the room as if challenging them to oppose her decision. However, contrary to her expectations, there was no opposition from anyone to her words, no one trying to challenge or demean me in any way. In fact, many of them were even slightly nodding as if they completely agreed with their queen's decision, while those who didn't want to show support for a man openly simply kept their heads down in silence. Even Clymene, who was standing a little away from me, had an impassive face on her as she calmly stared in my direction, refusing to meet my eyes for some reason. As I thought, the simplest way of getting into the Amazon's good books was simply being an honest and incredible warrior. Bruce mentally nodded in satisfaction. Also, as science has proved time and time again, all females love a strong male who can protect them. Except the males of some species who get eaten after they are done impregnating their partners. Although I have no idea why I am even thinking about that at this moment. And what about me wanting to return home? I don't guess you have an invisible jet hidden inside your castle, do you? I asked, at which both Diana and Hippolyta suddenly looked slightly taken aback. You will be given proper directions and a boat made from our best materials that will definitely get you to the mainland without any problems. Hippolyta quickly answered in a hurry before Diana could say anything. The boat will be ready by tomorrow. You can now leave to prepare for your departure. I still have plenty of work to do. Even though we won, it will still cost us a lot of time and resources if we want to recover from all the damage the trolls and undead monsters caused to us and the city, she stated with worry hidden in her voice while waving all of us away. Hearing her mother's words, Diana bowed and was about to leave while ushering me to do the same, but I had something else in mind, an idea that I had been toying with from the moment I had landed in Themyscira. Actually, I think I can help you in there. You just declared me an ally of Themyscira, according to the wishes of the goddess Hera, right? Then isn't it a duty for allies to help each other in times of need? I can help this island a lot if you allow me to, I said with a slight bow of my head to show my genuine desire to help. The queen looked a little startled at my words as she pondered the implications of her accepting my help. She wasn't foolish. Just by taking a look at the number of drones Cortana had brought to Themyscira to rescue me, she knew that I was an influential and powerful man in the men's world, although she had no idea just how much. You mean to trade with us? She easily understood the underlying meaning behind my proposition. We never trade with anyone from the man's world, since after the betrayal. But considering that you are now officially a friend of Themyscira, we might consider trading with you as long as it is profitable for us. However, we still don't want our location to be known by other men. She answered after pondering on the issue for a while. You don't have to worry about that, Your Majesty. My machines will be handling the delivery and logistics part, so no living being will ever know the location of your home because of me. I am sure that I can be a very big trading partner for Themyscira, and even help your own industries flourish as well. I can offer food, clothes, cosmetics, electronic gadgets to make your life more convenient, modern weapons, armor against those weapons, knowledge about what the man's world has discovered and invented till now, and a lot more. My company is involved in a lot of businesses that can help you be more prepared for the next war. Whenever it may be, I answered with a charming grin like a professional salesman. One of the richest billionaires in the world, now trying to sell his products on his own like a common salesman. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I thought with a mental shake of my head. And what would you want in return for access to all these things? Hippolyta questioned, while curiously raising one of her eyebrows. Even the other Amazons listening in to our conversation seemed very interested in products from the outside world. Not much. All I want in return are items of equal value like your wine and premium fabrics or resources that are unique to this island like special metals and herbs. I answered with a shrug. Whatever you can afford to sell me, I would gladly buy as long as it is valuable. Both of our products should be of equal value like in any other normal trade. I won't try to take advantage of you here while you do the same. Fine, I can agree to a deal like that. We can sign a contract later inside the Temple of Hermes, once you give me an official list of all the things you can offer, and we settle on a price. She agreed after noticing some of the elders nodding at her in a gesture to encourage her to accept the deal. Thank you, Your Majesty. I won't let you regret your decision, I said with an earnest smile before following Diana out of the throne room. Wow, that was unexpected. I never thought you would try to become a trading partner with us. So, you are a trader? I almost thought you were royalty because of the weird metal army that came searching for you here. Diana softly spoke as she stared at the beautiful sunset while sitting beside me on the beach. She looked like she was deep in thought about something. There is no royalty where I come from, Diana. The people in my homeland choose their own leader by voting every few years, and their chosen leader does whatever they can to help their country and its citizens. If they do not do good enough work, then they are simply replaced with someone else once their term ends. It's called democracy, I explained. Wow, it sounds so interesting. Your home must be perfect, then, since everyone there has the option to choose what they want for themselves, right? She curiously asked in a tone that seemed to want to hear more. Not really. Nothing is ever perfect. Democracy comes with its own set of problems, but we manage since it is at least better than being stuck with one bad king or queen. Moreover, choice is just an illusion, Diana. There will always be powerful people who have more influence than the common man, and in the case of democracy, it is the politicians who try to become the leaders and the businessmen who give them the money to do it. Like me, for example. Just like you are a princess and hold more power than the other Amazons, I too as a businessman am slightly more influential than the other normal people. However, unlike your royal blood, it is my wealth that separates me from the others. I see. I think I understand now. But then you must be pretty lonely, just like me. Is that why you kissed me? Diana asked, slightly tilting her head in a questioning way. I feel like if I tell her the true reason for kissing her was just me getting a little horny, she might try to kill me herself or encourage her mother to sentence me to death in an attempt to take revenge. Yes, that was definitely one of the reasons. I lied with a gulp, glad that she wasn't using the lasso on me like last time. I knew it. She whispered to herself with a small smile, seemingly satisfied with my answer for now. By the way, does the man's world really have machines that can fly in the sky? Helena used to tell us stories about it whenever she visited us, but most of my sisters never believed it. She said that the man's world has its own beauty that is quite different from our island. She inquired. It is indeed very beautiful. In fact, every part of this world is beautiful, Diana. It's just some of the people living in it that sometimes make it seem a bad place. However, it still depends on one's point of view. Someone who wants to see good will find good even in the evilest of places, and someone who wants to see bad will see it even in the most heavenly places. The truth is that the world isn't just black and white. It is gray, yellow, red, blue, and a whole lot of other shades and colors combined. You just have to look deep enough. That makes sense. I think I understand. She nodded. I really wish I could go out and explore, see how the outside world truly is for myself. I would like to visit your home too. Diana wished with a longing voice as she stared ahead at the ocean in front of us. Maybe one day. I am sure that your mother will allow you to venture out of this island on your own when you get old enough, and when that day comes, I promise I will show you everything myself. I said while keeping my hand on hers to show her I was serious and not merely kidding. In response to my words, she didn't say anything for a long time and just stared at the waves in silence as she seemed to contemplate something. After a few minutes of long silence, it looked like she had finally come to a decision. I will take your word for it then, my friend, she said with a beautiful smile. After all, you took away my first kiss, Bruce and I had heard from Helena that it was supposed to be something very important for a woman. She asserted in an accusatory tone before suddenly glancing at me with a weird look in her eyes, but I still liked it. Maybe we could do it again sometime when you are not on the verge of death. I had a weird sensation in my chest and stomach when we were kissing, like my body was getting weak for some reason. I would like to find out the reason why. To make sure that enemies cannot take advantage of me, of course. Of course, I replied with a grin, feeling her fingers gently and slowly attempting to intertwine with mine in a proper handhold. Hand-holding so soon? How lewd. Next day in the morning. I hope you will deliver the first order as soon as possible. We are in urgent need of food, and I would like that we do not have to resort to asking the gods for help. Queen Hippolyta said as she observed Bruce rechecking everything on his boat for the third and final time. The boat that the Amazons had repaired for Bruce was one of the many boats that had crashed on the island. It was one of those boats that could be sailed on by a single person and was quite big with 2 separate decks in it. The upper deck was for the sailor to stay in and sail the boat using its sails, while the smaller lower deck was made either to keep important stuff or for him to take shelter in during storms. Bruce had nothing important with him except a map, so he didn't have any need for the lower deck. He was just making sure that all the sails worked right. He wasn't even taking any food or clothes with him since the trip to the nearest mainland, which was Europe, was only going to take 2 to 3 days max, while his body could go for months without needing to consume anything. Don't worry. All the shipments will be delivered within the week, while the food will be here in an automatic self-driving submarine by tomorrow. I will even throw in a few cookbooks to introduce your people to different cuisines. You need it very much. I will also send a couple of computers later as well to make communication between us easier. Until then, a few drones of mine should stay here in case you need my assistance for anything, he suggested while pointing to one of the drones silently floating near where they were standing. I don't have any issue with that. Although I can't let your entire army of machines stay here, 1 or 2 won't be a problem. It is indeed true that we will need a proper line of communication if we want to continue trading. She nodded in affirmation. I will get the wine ready by the time the food arrives. We will make sure that the wine is of the best quality, she promised. The wine that Hippolyta was talking about was a special wine that only the Amazons knew how to make, a gift from Dionysus himself. The wine was supposedly the closest thing to the nectar that the gods drank and was undoubtedly going to be very famous back in the outside world, which means Bruce would easily be able to dominate the alcohol industry very soon as well. So, contrary to what one might think, he was gaining a lot from this trade and will be making quite a big profit from it. This trade was a win-win for both parties. By the way, you haven't seen Ares' helmet, have you? We haven't been able to find it since you took it off in the mountain, she asked with a small frown. No, I haven't. Maybe it got destroyed in the battle, or some god took it away so that it doesn't cause any more harm. Who knows? Bruce answered with a shrug. Maybe. She murmured to herself, a visible frown still present on her beautiful face. I should leave now. It would be easier to navigate with the sun still up, Bruce said after he was done rechecking everything. He looked around, trying to search for a familiar face among the crowd that was there to watch him leave, but sadly, he could not find the face he was looking for, no matter how hard he looked. Diana did not want to see you leave. She has been in a bad mood since the morning and is refusing to even leave her room. Hippolyta spoke up on her own after realizing who he was searching for. Oh, I see. Well, I guess it can't be helped. I will meet with her again one day, Bruce said with a slightly downcast voice as he jumped up on his boat to leave. Indeed, a few more centuries and she will be old enough to venture out of this island on her own. You can meet her then unless you decide to visit before that, in which case you are always welcome. Hippolyta responded with a smile, which was a pretty rare sight for her. Till then, goodbye, Bruce. Goodbye to you as well, Hippolyta, Bruce said with a mock salute, directly using her name without adding any title or honorifics in there to try to annoy her and get a reaction out of her, although the Queen of the Amazons just smirked at him. Soon, under the Junior Wayne's expert skills, the yacht-like boat began to move steadily along with the waves, slowly moving further and further away from the island as most of the Amazons just watched him leave while some of the more emotional ones waved him goodbye. Those yacht lessons from Alfred Shore did come in handy. He was right. Knowing how to sail a boat can indeed save a billionaire's life. Bruce muttered with a chuckle before trying to connect to Cortana through his nanobots. You have secured the object, right? He asked. Positive, sir. I have taken the liberty of temporarily keeping Ares' helmet in one of our smaller bases near Gotham City. I will shift it to the main bat cave after I am done sealing it inside a promethium and lead vessel as you ordered. She answered with a cheery voice. Well done, Cortana, well done. He praised, with a giant grin on his face as he imagined just how useful a helmet with the power of a god could be, especially if it could be brought under his complete control. Inside the hidden temple of Apollo in Themyscira, Queen Hippolyta, it has been so long since you last came here to get my counsel. Did anything interesting happen recently? A slightly elderly voice inquired as the Queen of the Amazons gracefully stepped into the temple. I just wanted to inform you that your prophecy came true, Helena. A mortal man was able to slay Ares. He killed the god along with a titan, all on the same day. Hippolyta answered calmly. However, he did not become the king of the Amazons after slaying the god of all evil as you prophesied. I am still the queen and Themyscira still doesn't have a king. So, your prophecy was only half right. Maybe you need to sharpen up your skills, Helena. You are growing rusty, she added with a small chuckle. A god was slayed? So that was the disturbance I felt. I see now. But which one of the gods did he kill? The woman named Helena asked. Ares, the god of war, and Iapetus, the titan of mortality. He also killed the demigod Hercules as well after he temporarily attained the status of the god of might. This mortal is quite amazing to kill so many immortals in a single day. But none of them was the god of evil, my queen. Even though my prophecy mentioned the slayer of Ares, it never explicitly stated that Ares and the god of evil were the same beings. So, it seems that my prophecy still remains unfulfilled. Helena was the one to smile this time as she noticed the distraught look on the queen's face. But don't worry, my queen. Being the king of Amazons doesn't necessarily mean that he will be your husband, since that is what seems to worry you the most. Prophecies are very complicated. You cannot forcefully make sense of one just by mere logic. Most of the time, it is not what it seems. So it is best to just take it as a warning and then put it in the back of your mind instead of worrying about it all the time. The oracle gave her advice. You are right. After all, according to one prophecy, you are supposed to be dead already after fighting and sealing the god of war. But look at you, besides the few wrinkles on your face, everything else looks fine. The queen said with a wry smile. Joke all you want, my queen. But that prophecy also technically came true since the superheroine named Fury died that day after I lost my powers. Everyone misses you, Helena. Why do you insist on staying here alone like this? We can get someone else to become the oracle. You can return with me too. No, my queen, this is my destiny, what I am meant to do. My previous connection to the Furies makes me a very good candidate for an oracle. Nobody can do my job better than me. As for everyone who thinks that I am dead, that is actually for the better. I can do my job better this way without anybody trying to bring me back. Helena said before giving her queen a small smile. Suddenly their conversation was interrupted as an Amazonian royal guard approached Hippolyta in a hurry. My queen, it's Princess Diana. We can't find her anywhere. It is like she has suddenly disappeared in thin air. After we did a thorough search for her, we only found this note in her room. The royal guard quickly informed before handing a small paper note to the Amazonian queen. Hippolyta was momentarily taken aback upon hearing the guard's words. She swiftly retrieved the note from her and started to read it. The paper bore a single line that perfectly conveyed her daughter's intentions to the queen. I am going out to explore the world. Diana, destiny indeed works in mysterious ways. Helena, who was listening to the guard's words, gave a knowing smile as she took a glance at Hippolyta, whose face was tinged with a mix of both anger and concern. On Bruce's boat sailing in the sea, finally, I am going home. Now, there is absolutely nothing that can go wrong. Bruce cheered in a happy mood as he stretched his body under the warm light of the sun. Now I can finally relax until I reach the mainland, just us two in a boat. Wait, 2 people in a boat? He stopped his muttering as he again scanned the boat with his chi sense. Hey, are we finally out of Themyscira's borders? A familiar voice questioned Bruce as Diana's Amazonian figure clad in her armor slowly emerged from the door that led to the lower deck. Oh shit, Wayne Vista Grand Hotel, Athens, omniscient POV. Did you find out anything regarding the whereabouts of Bruce? Selena asked with a worried face the moment she saw Talia enter the room with a thoughtful look on her face. The cat lover was dead worried about the love of her life suddenly going missing out of nowhere and was almost overwhelmed with desperation after Cortana, whom they and Bruce trusted blindly, refused to help them with any information regarding Bruce's abrupt disappearance. Of course, that hadn't discouraged them at all. Instead, that had just made them more determined to find him on their own. And to do this, all of the girls were helping in this search in their own ways. While Selena tried to inquire about Bruce's whereabouts in the Gotham criminal underworld through some contacts she had developed on her own, Talia and Nissa were using the League's vast resources to do the same with the help of their identity as members of the High Table. Vicky, on the other hand, was using her connections in the media industry to do the same. Even Helena, who had accompanied them on the trip, was doing her best to investigate the local mafia families for any information on Bruce Wayne. Without a doubt, her expert martial arts and gymnastic skills, honed over the last few years, as well as the bat tool that Bruce had gifted her years before, were proving to be invaluable in this endeavor. No, unfortunately, it was another dead end. None of the members of the League had seen or heard anything about a plane going missing. There were certain reports of a storm on the Aegean Sea a few days ago, but it was only for a short time, and nobody saw any plane or ship disappearing in it. Talia answered with a frustrated sigh as she struggled to meet Selena's gaze. After all, it was a matter of great shame that she and her sister could not even find one single plane despite having one of the largest hidden organizations under their control. Truthfully, they had even considered that Cortana was the one responsible for Bruce's disappearance. Maybe she had rebelled for some reason and tried to kill Bruce since he was her creator and knew every technological detail about her, including how to stop her. That would have made sense as to why she wasn't contacting them. But they discarded that logic as soon as they had thought of it, since they couldn't find any actual motive behind this. Bruce allowed Cortana as much freedom as she wanted. He didn't just treat her as a real person but as family. Furthermore, Cortana herself loved Bruce and was so loyal that she would rather short-circuit her processors than betray him. In her own words, Bruce was her purpose and the reason she existed. Without him, she was nothing. So her trying to kill Bruce sounded too hard to believe, especially since there were tons of other ways where she could have tried to get rid of him much more subtly without even them knowing. I see. Selena instantly deflated in disappointment after hearing her answer. I couldn't find out about anything from my end too. It was definitely not done by any mercenary or wannabe supervillain. Otherwise, I would have already gotten some clue at least. Selena added while shaking her hand at her own failure. It wasn't corporate sabotage as well. Some bastards from some reputed pharma giants did try to have Bruce killed by paying a few mercenaries, but most of them were either caught and taken care of by Bruce's new security team, or they simply just gave up after learning that Slade Wilson is on his payroll. Plus, considering all the additional security systems Bruce has installed on his jet, this couldn't have been done by someone with a mere rocket launcher or something. Either this was done by the official military of some country with access to missiles and everything, or this was some sort of metahuman. Vicky, who was also silently sitting in the room, informed in a distraught voice, her eyes getting watery with every word. Don't cry, Vicky. I am sure Bruce is all right. Have you seen his regenerative capabilities? Even scratches from that catgirl's diamond-hard nails here hardly bother him during their lovemaking before they heal on their own in a second. I don't see him getting injured because of a measly explosion, especially when he has access to all of his fancy toys and weapons in the plane's arsenal. No, when he returns, which he undoubtedly will, he will probably do so with a shit-eating grin on his face. Maybe even with a new hot girl that he would have managed to charm, Talia tried to joke to lighten the mood. She was doing her very best to stay calm and level-headed in this situation for the sake of everyone else, since she was supposed to be the oldest girl here. That's why she had even begun to resort to jokes like this, so that she could at least fool herself into thinking that she wasn't nervous. And everything was all right, although the trick was slowly failing with every hour Bruce remained missing. However, she had no idea just how close to the truth her joke truly was in reality. If she did, then there was a high chance that she would have been looking for ways to effectively torture Bruce, rather than searching for him. That's why I have been suppressing the news of his disappearance in the media. I don't want any of his enemies taking this as an opportunity to attack his company or reputation. Vicky agreed while wiping away the tears that had gathered in her eyes. It is what I have been secretly hoping for too, minus the girl part. There are already too many of us ready to share him like a bunch of pathetic simping cucks. Selena replied while giving Talia a glance from the side of her eyes. Won't work on me. If I had been that easy to manipulate, I would have fought Bruce on behalf of my father, not help him kill my own dad. Talia snorted with an eye roll. Also, with how easy it was to convince my little sister to share her boyfriend with me, my little sis is most likely the one with the cuck fetish, not me. Talia brutally dissed her own sister with a mischievous smirk on her face. TCH, well, never blame a girl for trying. Selena shrugged. She had been trying to reduce competition in her love life for the last few days after she, accidentally, listened in on Talia and Nissa discussing how they should start sleeping with Bruce soon and try a threesome once all three of them were comfortable enough so that they could keep him all to themselves. It didn't have to be said that Selena didn't like this at all. She never truly liked Talia, but the sisters trying to monopolize her childhood love by using their perverted bodies and the concept of a forbidden threesome just seemed like cheating to her. I will also need an ally, especially if Bruce finds their idea of a threesome interesting. I cannot let those two control him with the allure of their bodies. Even though I am his first, I need to up my game to keep up with the trend. Selena thought to herself while taking a look at Vicky. Maybe she could. Nah, she is already in league with Helena. After all, they have been best friends. Maybe I should wait for Zatanna. If she still has the same feelings for him, then there is a chance that she might agree to form a bed alliance with me. Wow, this is the first time where I am actually wishing that Bruce had more harem members. Selena mentally snickered at stupid thoughts. The absence of Bruce from her life was taking a toll on her. Ring 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 ring. Vicky's phone suddenly began to ring, breaking the awkward silence that was slowly forming in the room. Taking a glance at the name of the caller, she quickly picked it up. Hey Helena, any updates? She said after lightly clearing her throat. For some time, there was silence as Vicky quietly listened, but in just a few seconds, her facial expressions made a complete 180-degree turn. Instead of disappointment and melancholy, there was visible excitement on her face. That's great news. Thanks for informing us, H. Yeah, sure, you should come back to the hotel now. We will be waiting. Don't worry, I'll spread the news to the others. Vicky enthusiastically said with a nod of her head before finally ending the call and putting her phone down. What happened? Did Helena find him? Selena was the first one to speak up, looking at Vicky with some newfound hope. Talia also looked at Vicky with an impatient look on her face as she waited for the reporter to speak up. Yep. Helena was questioning the local port mafia, and apparently, a man matching the exact description of Bruce reached one of their ports on a boat this morning. Apparently, he borrowed a car from a local gangster and should be on his way here. Vicky answered with a pleased smile. Oh, thank God. I was getting worried there for a second. Talia lightly mumbled before looking up at the other two girls. I'll go and inform my sister about this. She is still probably grilling our assassins for not being useful enough to get any intel on Bruce. She needs to be stopped before she starts castrating them as punishment. She added as she quickly walked out the door without any more words. A few seconds after Talia had left, Vicky spoke up with a small smile on her face. She has her own way of caring about her little sister, doesn't she? I guess they are just like any other normal siblings. Except for the fact that they come from an evil assassin family, and they are crazy enough to share the same lover between them. Do you think their family might have their origins in Alabama? Vicky sarcastically asked Selena as her reporter mind began to ponder useless stuff that she considered spicy and dramatic enough to discuss, now that she no longer had to worry about Bruce. I don't know, and truthfully, I don't care. As long as they don't betray Bruce or break his trust, I have no reason to care. Selena answered with a casual shrug as she got up as well. Anyway, I should inform Alfred and Leslie that Bruce is all right. The old man has been the most worried of all for the last few days. Selena sadly recalled. Yes, sure, go ahead. I guess I'll look for Ace and Miss Whiskers. They have been disappearing a lot after Bruce's plane went missing. Who knows, maybe they are striving to assist us in their own way by sniffing around, trying to find Bruce with the help of other animals. Vicky joked with a hearty chuckle. That dog and cat can literally talk in human language with the help of the two collars Bruce had made for them, Vicky. There is a chance that they are doing exactly what you said for real. Selena said with as much a straight face as she could muster. Damn, you are probably right. Bruce Wayne POV. So, will you finally tell me where we are going and what type of carriage we are riding on? And how long till we meet your family? By the way, how many people are there in your family? You never told me anything about them. Diana threw a volley of questions towards me with an eager expression on her face as she continued probing for information. After we arrived at the mainland through Piraeus Harbor in the city of Athens, Diana suddenly had a change of personality. Her calm, silent visage disappeared as she became an over-chatterer, questioning almost everything she laid her eyes on, her curiosity bubbling out like lava. I understood that this was a new world for her and that her childlike curiosity should be normal, but honestly, her constant questions about everything she saw were getting a little annoying. After all, This was already her 100th query for the day. But still, I didn't let the annoyance show on my face as I patiently tried to answer all her questions. No matter how many there were, we are going to the hotel where my family is supposed to be staying, and this carriage here is called a car. We will be reaching our destination in about half an hour. As for my family, I haven't told you a lot about them, have I? Well, I guess our conversations were seldom about my life and more about the general world. You see, both my parents died when I was young, so I have been raised by my butler, Alfred. He is an honest old man whom I trust with my life. But besides that, I also have a lot of good friends whom I consider family as well. You will meet them soon enough. Oh, and there is also Cortana, my trusted AI confidant and assistant. She handles almost all the machines I create, including the drones that helped protect your homeland from the recent invasion. But again, you have already met her, haven't you? I added after noticing my bracelet lightly blinking with a cyan blue hue, proof that Cortana was actively listening to us. Of course, this wasn't the original bracelet that I had lost in the storm, but a new copy that I had as backup stored in my lab. Cortana just delivered it to me in Themyscira after the war. Indeed, I have. My mother and I had a conversation with her when you were resting after the battle. She is quite cheerful and worries about you a lot. Also, she sounded extremely loyal since she mentioned that you created her from something called code, much like how my mother created me from clay with the help of Zeus' last miracle. Diana stated with a wise look on her face. Anyway, what do you mean by your butler, Bruce? You have a manservant. He is not a servant, Diana. He is family. I instantly replied with a slightly more assertive voice than I would have liked. I apologize. I didn't mean to demean you or this Alfred. I was simply curious because Lady Helena had once told us that the rich and powerful in man's world hired servants for all their work. I simply thought that Alfred was one such person. I am sorry. Diana quickly apologized in a hurry, with a slightly troubled face. It's okay, Diana. You wouldn't have known. A lot of people make fun of the fact that a rich orphan who has everything in the world is being raised by his manservant, but unfortunately nobody understands that Alfred is much more than just a servant or a caretaker to me. He is someone who has always been with me in this life, someone I never thought I would care much for, but I still do. To speak the truth, he is the parent I never asked for, but one I needed to be what I am. After all, Batman is incomplete without an Alfred. I muttered with a chuckle as I continued to drive the car in silence. By the way, it was quite interesting to know that Diana doesn't have an actual biological father in this universe. Seems like the Olympian God King just handed over some of his divine godly power to the Queen to help create Diana, before he disappeared to God knows where. Wait a damn minute. Don't tell me that Hippolyta sculpted Diana from clay using Zeus' magical jizz or something. And what about your other friends? Are they very close to you? Do you think they will accept being my friends as well? Diana tried to steer the conversation in a more light-hearted direction, breaking me away from my disgusting thoughts and making me look at the Amazonian princess with a puzzled gaze. I think they will, they are very friendly. And yes, they are somewhat very close to me, I answered with a perplexed look as I remembered how most of the girls felt about me. After all, I wasn't a dense idiot like some shonen MC. I knew they had romantic feelings for me, but the thing was one needs to have skin as thick as the hardest military-grade steel to be a harem protagonist and tell their lovers to share him between them. It was a skill that I quite disappointingly haven't developed yet. Still, I was already thrilled with 3 girls agreeing to date me simultaneously. I didn't feel the need to complicate things further by trying to pursue more. After all, managing a harem was just as tedious a task as creating one. However, some innocent flirting was harmless, right? I see. Diana nodded, pleased at my answer. Hey Diana, are you sure that your mother won't be declaring war on us after they find that you have run away from home with me? I really don't want to fight another war for the next couple of years. I asked after a couple of minutes of silence, wondering if I should contact Hippolyta through Cortana's drones and tell her that Diana was safe with me. I am sure that she won't do anything like that. I am old enough to make my own decisions now. My mother herself admitted this, even you heard it. Plus, it seemed like Mother trusted you for some reason and even harbored some respect for you in her heart after you helped defeat Hercules, Ares, and Iapetus, 3 of the greatest dangers to our people. She will think twice before declaring war. I think, Diana responded with a straight face that didn't seem to exude much confidence. You think? I asked with a gulp. Well, maybe I decided to leave too hastily. I probably should have waited till the night of love that was scheduled to be held the night you left. Night of love? I asked while raising a brow. Just like we celebrate Hera being at her purest when she regains her purity for her husband every year, we also celebrate a night of passion to respect the blessings of goddess Aphrodite on us Amazons. On that night, Amazons take part in different bodily pleasures as much as they want under the open sky around a holy fire by giving in to their throes of passion, although my mother never seemed to participate in it herself nor let me or anyone else from the royal family and the royal guards participate in it as well. She considers it to be below us and only meant for the truly frustrated Amazons, whatever that is supposed to mean. Diana casually replied while curiously staring at a plane that was flying over us. Wait. Did she just say that Amazonians of this particular universe celebrate a religious night by having lesbian shabbowinking in the open? Does that mean I just missed an Amazonian orgy because I left a day early? I thought, in disbelief, as I tried to imagine the scene of thousands of Amazons making love to each other around a campfire. Why do you suddenly have tears in your eyes, Bruce? Are you feeling some sort of discomfort or pain? Diana asked after noticing a single tear leaving my eye. No, it's okay. There is always next year. Yep, don't worry, Diana. I will definitely be taking you back to your home for a visit next year. That's a promise, a man's promise. I said with absolute determination. Cortana. I have already added the date to your reminders and calendar, boss. You don't have to worry, you won't miss it next year. Also, I will keep this fact a secret from the others. In fact, I have already sent the information to my more secure servers. My loyal AI assistant chimed in for my bracelet even before I could tell her what I wanted. Good, you are the best girl ever, Cortana, a real bro. I nodded in appreciation. Are you two discussing some sort of inside joke that I am not privy to? Diana, who seemed to be too innocent to understand what was happening, curiously tilted her head. Hippolyta did me a huge favor by never allowing her daughter in the orgy. Otherwise, this would have been extremely awkward. But I do wonder why she never takes part in it herself despite being their absolute ruler for so many centuries. Is it just because she treasures her dignity as a queen, or is there some other deeper reason? I wondered to myself. Sir, I have been trying to give you some privacy and keep work-related stuff away from you as much as possible, but there are a couple of things that really need your attention right now. I don't think it can wait any longer, especially since it involves the decision of whether to kill Edward Nashton or not. Cortana suddenly interrupted my thoughts as she displayed small holograms of a stack of documents from my bracelet. What? I am driving, Cortana. I can't look at any files or documents right now. Is this so important that it can't even wait till we get to the hotel? It is only a 15-minute drive from here, you know. I retorted, swiping away the hologram that was blocking my vision. Negative, sir. We must handle this matter now unless, of course, you agree to let Edward blow up the Gotham Police HQ. Cortana calmly argued as she displayed a single image of a couple of cars being driven by a bunch of gangsters wearing green jackets and weird masks with weird patterns of question marks drawn all over them. The vehicles were heading at full speed straight towards the direction of the city center, where the GCPD HQ was supposed to be located. Edward Nashton, or according to his original birth name, Edward Nigma, seems to have just raised the stakes of his game, sir. Bruce Wayne POV. What did he do now? I asked with a tired sigh as I watched the heavily armored cars race toward their destination, which according to Cortana was the GCPD headquarters. For the last month, Edward has been attempting to blackmail or assault multiple high-value targets from Gotham in an effort to get some incriminating evidence against the Gotham Renewal Fund that your parents set up, trying his best to link them directly to the scam that resulted from the fund. This is all because he despises you and holds a grudge against the Wayne name. Initially, it was pretty easy to thwart his plans, no matter what they were, and since you were really busy for the past month, I tried to take care of it myself. A sudden loud notification, an anonymous call to the cops, a warning to the victims of his plan, or messing with his electronic devices were all it took to stop him, but it seems that he has suddenly improved his game for some reason. From doing everything on his own, he has taken a pretty big leap to hiring professional criminals from some small-time gangs to blow up the entire GCPD HQ in order to sow chaos. I am still researching how he got the funds for hiring these men or buying the resources needed for what he has planned, but I am pretty sure that somebody else is supporting him, somebody much more influential. Cortana informed through the bracelet as I continued to drive with a stoic look on my face. What happened, Bruce? Is it something important? If you need my help to slay someone trying to harm an innocent, then just know that it is my duty as the champion of Themyscira. Diana, who was trying to listen in on my conversation with Cortana, suggested from beside me, her voice carrying a weight of responsibility. No, it's fine. It's merely work. Honestly, this is pretty much a typical weekday in Gotham for me. Even though we're currently in Athens, I responded, smiling. You know what? You haven't experienced the local music, have you? You should give our songs a listen. You might enjoy them, I suggested as I turned on the car radio to a random station playing Beyoncé's Irreplaceable, the recent hit of the year. As I turned the volume up, Diana looked at me with a slightly suspicious gaze, but just shrugged the next moment and focused on the song. She seemed quite impressed with both the radio in the car and the song that was currently playing on it. Coming back to our conversation, Cortana, how do you know that the Riddler is going to attack the GCPD HQ, and what do you think is his end objective for this very stupid and dangerous plan? I asked with a raise of one of my eyebrows. The GPS in their car is set to show directions to the headquarters of GCPD, and the gang members he recruited made plenty of phone calls to their homies to tell them to watch the 9:00 news today if they want to watch some cops burn like pigs on a barbecue. So, figuring out their target wasn't exactly a big deal. However, I am still not clear on what he truly wants, though I suspect that it might be the official documents regarding the investigation of Gotham Renewal Fund and Carmine Falsone. The cops and the FBI are trying to keep the true magnitude of the scam a secret to prevent discontent amongst the public. But Edward most probably wants to use all of those details to cause massive citywide unrest and revolts. And of course, we all know what happens when a city like Gotham goes through mass unrest. Cortana answered in a flat voice, revealing Riddler's ominous plans. Why can't just criminals stick to their age-old jobs of robbing banks and selling drugs? I grumbled with a sigh. I guess the Edward of this universe is unhinged as well, just like the Riddler from the comics, movies, and shows. Damn it, I was really hoping that I did not have to kill a victim of child abuse one day. I can't go to Gotham myself in such a short time, as you might have already guessed, and I don't want anybody to see my armor massacring a bunch of gangsters that look like idiotic nerds, especially since those so-called gangsters haven't even committed any crime yet. We also cannot use drones, since even if a single civilian witnesses one of our drones killing Riddler's gang members and reports it to law enforcement, a lot of annoying individuals might get involved to try to sniff us out, something that I would really prefer not to happen so soon. I muttered, tapping my thumb on the steering wheel in deep thought. Although I was currently listening to Cortana and trying to figure out a way to stop Riddler, I was still able to drive the car without any difficulties, since my enhanced brain could easily focus on multiple tasks simultaneously. Your new special security team also can't be used, since they have just started their initial gene-modifying treatments a few days ago. And even if they were at their best, it would still be quite difficult to use them in this mission, since they would probably not be able to reach their destination in time to prevent the incident. Also, law enforcement might mistake them as villains and start attacking them as well. After all, they don't exactly exude valor and gallantry in what you yourself call Snake Eyes armor. Cortana added sarcastically, since she never liked any armor design that wasn't filled to the brim with cutting-edge technology. What she was talking about, of course, was the Snake Eyes costume from G.I. Joe that I had constructed for all my Wayne security personnel. The suits had decent technology and were made from a carbonadium compound I had previously developed while researching metal. Although not nearly on the same level as the technology present in my own armor, it could still be considered way ahead of its time because of its durability, stealth functions, and the myriads of small gadgets, weapons, and useful tools hidden in it, like tasers and magnetic gloves. In a way, they were perfect for mercenaries and looked hella cool. Although their appearance didn't seem heroic or even friendly in nature to civilians. I see. So, there is no other way but to use drones, huh? I guess I'll just have to take the risk. I responded while wondering which type of drone could complete the mission in the stealthiest manner possible. There is another way. The God's Eye algorithm that you were trying to integrate into my servers could help me eliminate these criminals quite easily without anybody even guessing what truly happened. But you need to give me permission for that, Cortana suggested after a couple of seconds of silence. No, I sternly rejected her proposal without even considering it for a second. The God's Eye algorithm she was talking about was perhaps the epitome of what an AI could truly do. The algorithm is made so that the AI using it can process all the available data and determine how to complete any action in the most desirable and effective method possible. It could theoretically amp up the AI's computational ability so much that it could even predict the future and control all outcomes to an extent. With the power of the algorithm, One could just send a random text to somebody and trigger a series of events in such a way that the simple action of sending a text would cause some type of domino effect and would ultimately result in the president of the country getting assassinated as a result. That was how OP the algorithm was. Giving an AI permission to use it would be equivalent to giving it a dose of NZT-48. However, that type of power was just too dangerous. I would have gladly used it if this was just a normal mundane world, but in the multiverse of DC, an AI no matter how smart could never take all the variables into account while predicting the future. Murphy's Law combined with my years of experience in watching various movies and TV shows and reading fanfiction tell me that something would always go wrong when it comes to seeing and manipulating the future beforehand. You and I both know that I am not capable of betraying you, Bruce, nor do I want to. So why don't you want me to use that algorithm even though you are the one who developed it? Even using it for a single minute can give us all the data we need to see if it truly works or not. It can be extremely useful in a dangerous situation where victory is seemingly not possible. Plus, after absorbing those encrypted memories of yours, you yourself said that you are supposed to be fateless, right? According to our estimations, you were not supposed to have a fixed written future, yet you had an entire prophecy written about you by the Olympians centuries ago about slaying Hercules in battle. Don't you find that strange? Who knows what else other gods have planned for you? Maybe you can even be included in the machinations of stronger cosmic-level entities as well. With the emergence of more and more metahumans, this world is getting more and more dangerous as well, Bruce. Maybe this algorithm could be our ace, our trump card against anything fate throws at us. And don't pretend like you don't agree with me, otherwise, you wouldn't have developed the algorithm in the first place. From the very moment you started writing the program, you knew you were going to use it one day, and who better to do it than me? Cortana argued with a soft and righteous yet caring voice from my bracelet. You don't understand, Cortana. It's not that I don't believe you. In fact, it is the opposite. There is no one else that I trust more than you. Maybe not even Alfred. But I didn't name this algorithm the gods, just because I found the name cool. With time and enough data, the program could even evolve to be like the eyes of God. The algorithm could enable people to see the true future, and that is very dangerous, especially for the me right now. It would enable me to stop crime even before it happens, to know about criminals the moment they are born, and that is something I don't want to know. I have seen too many movies to not understand how that sort of power can get over anyone's head, even mine. No amount of willpower is enough to have a power like that and not mess with it. Remember, with power comes responsibility, but with absolute power comes absolute responsibility. Something that I am not quite ready for yet, I retorted, explaining to Cortana why I didn't want to use the algorithm so soon even though it truly was OP. But you will not be the one to use the algorithm, Bruce. I'll be the one using it, and I promise that I'll only use it for a few seconds to eliminate the Riddler gang. It will be like a controlled experiment. We won't find out the complete future, but we will definitely know if the algorithm works or not. Plus, there is no other way to stop the convoy before they reach the GCPD HQ. Even if we inform the cops present there right now about Riddler's attack, they would still not be ready for the number of explosives and weapons those 4 cars are carrying with them. Even if the cops somehow managed to win, they would still only be able to do it with heavy losses. Cortana successfully argued. Fine, you win. I ultimately gave in with a sigh before looking at Diana through the corner of my eyes, finding her still happily humming to a piece of indie music. We will test out if God's eyes actually works or not. However, don't expect me to let you use this algorithm regularly. Also, you will only use it to eliminate Riddler's gang, not anything else. I commanded in a stern voice. Aye, Captain. Now just say the magic words, she said with a teasing voice. Activate sequence, God's eyes. The password is FATBAT007. Set data analysis capacity to automatic. The mission is to get rid of Riddler and his gang without leaving any evidence or witness, as well as without anyone finding out about our involvement in any way. Initiate command. I finally uttered with some slight hesitation. Sequence and command initiated. Cortana replied to my words in a cold machine-like voice. Let's see just how effective this algorithm is at its current stage. Omniscient POV. Calculating potential outcomes. Cortana's voice inside Bruce's bat cave hummed from his bat computer as her internal processors whirred at speeds incomprehensible to humans, analyzing terabytes of data in milliseconds. In a few seconds, it was able to map out tens of thousands of conceivable scenarios, simulating millions of variables. Her current command was to completely eliminate the 4 cars of Riddler's gang rushing towards GCPD headquarters, including all 18 people sitting inside the cars, and currently, she was choosing the most effective way to do exactly that. Cortana. 3,573 different possibilities found. Plan number 78 is determined as the most effective. Executing plan number 78. Suddenly, the city's traffic control system turned all the lights green for a motorcyclist heading towards the highway entrance ramp. The biker was a pizza delivery guy running late in his delivery for the 3rd time of the day. Not wanting to anger his boss again, he sped up after seeing the series of green lights, thinking that Lady Luck had finally started to favor him. He had unknowingly become the first pawn in Cortana's plan. As the biker merged onto the highway, he tried to take the shortcut he always took whenever he was late, which was the next exit, going directly in the path of the Riddler's convoy. Simultaneously, Cortana sent a text to the man operating a large mechanical arm at a construction site. The man who had kept his phone silent till now was immensely surprised at the sudden chime of notification coming from his phone. As a result, he lost his focus while operating the arm, causing the mechanical arm to go out of control and knock over a large container of black oil onto the road just before the exit ramp. As the container crashed against the ground, the oil quickly spread across the lanes, creating a slick, dangerous surface on the road. Concurrently, Cortana also accessed the scheduling system of a nearby logistics company, analyzing the delivery route of a certain truck carrying some special volatile chemicals inside it. She sent an anonymous tip to the driver's boss about a potential gang that might be targeting to steal one of his trucks, prompting the boss to instantly call the driver and urge him to take another route in case the tip was genuine. The other route that he advised the driver to take was, coincidentally, the highway. As Riddler's convoy approached the exit, the pizza delivery guy, now struggling to control his bike on the oil-slicked road, slid and crashed in front of them. Although the biker was fine, the accident still caused the lead car of the convoy to swerve and hit the guardrail with tremendous force. The sudden crash even forced the other cars to brake abruptly as well, but the accident was nowhere enough to kill anyone. However, just then, the truck carrying the volatile chemicals, which was also now on the highway thanks to Cortana's interference, barreled towards the convoy at a high speed. The driver, seeing the chaos ahead, had tried to stop the truck, but the slick road made it impossible to do so. The truck driver, being quite experienced, knew what was going to happen the next moment and quickly jumped from the truck, safely landing on the road. He could feel he had a few bruised bones, but the jump had saved his life. The truck, though, was not so lucky as it jackknifed, its trailer swinging out and colliding directly with the last car, blocking any possible exit. The sudden impact triggered a chain reaction. The volatile chemicals leaking from the delivery truck began to mix with the spilled black oil on the road and became a dangerous combination as the resultant solution instantly turned highly flammable. It only lacked a single spark that was required to ignite the entire mixture in a second. A few minutes ago, I don't understand, what type of joke is this? Did any of you send me this as a joke? The Riddler asked the 2 subordinates sitting at the front of his car with an annoyed yet slightly anxious voice as he showed them the text he had received on his phone just now. It was a few short lines of what looked like someone's meager attempt at writing a riddle. Some try to hide, and some try to cheat, but time will show we will always meet. I come with a cold embrace but can give you rest with a kiss on your face. I am the end that starts the beginning, a spark that lights the fuse. From the prince's mind, I come for you, your plans are now bound to lose. This riddle would have been quite interesting for him if he was a 5-year-old, but for the present him, this was just too easy. How childish, of course, the answer is death. Heh, whoever wrote this must either be the biggest fool or my biggest fan. He mocked with a snort as he threw away his phone with displeasure evident in his voice. However, he could not help but feel like he was missing something important here, like there was another riddle inside the riddle, a clue that he wasn't able to understand. He couldn't admit it in front of his subordinates, but he was getting a bad feeling from the text, causing him to grow frustrated with every passing moment. The message had come from an anonymous number that the Riddler couldn't recognize. This made him even more curious to know just who it was that wanted to play against him with riddles. Is it him? But he doesn't seem like the riddling sort. He looks like a guy who is more into jokes. And he himself told me not to contact him again till I was successful in blowing up GCPD and getting my hands on the entire paper trail of the Gotham Renewal Fund. So it shouldn't be him. He muttered to himself with a thoughtful look. Frustrated and unable to find answers to the questions in his mind, the Riddler angrily lit a cigarette. He was trying his best to quit, but it was frustrating situations like these that made him want to have a drag to clear his head. However, before he could have his first drag, his car suddenly crashed into the guardrail for seemingly no reason at all. What the hell? Which idiot was driving? I will hack you to death before canceling your driving license. Even my mother used to drive better than you. He yelled in anger as he opened the door of his car in a fit of rage before throwing the cigarette in his hand on the road in a careless manner. The small lit tip of the cigarette was all it took for the newly brewed chemical combination to catch fire, instantly creating a massive explosion around the area that was further boosted by the explosives and firearms stored in each of the cars. The resulting fireball completely engulfed all 4 cars, ensuring a violent death to all the gang members present there, including Riddler himself, in what would later on be described as the biggest and most unfortunate highway accident of the year. Cortana's work was done. She had executed her command successfully. However, as an added precaution, she sent a final message to the traffic control system, returning all lights to normal and deleting all digital records of her manipulations. All the security footage near the incident zone was wiped clean, while she also deleted all the texts she had sent from any official records. This was all to cover her tracks and make this the perfect crime. Even if someone were to become suspicious of the entire incident later down the line, they would never have enough proof to link all these random events together. It would always remain just an unfortunate accident. Targets eliminated. Mission successful. Execution time: 6 minutes and 21 seconds. That was just too good. I felt exactly like what I felt when I watched Final Destination for the first time. Bruce couldn't help but gulp as he saw the entire thing through his bracelet. I feel bad for the truck driver and the pizza delivery guy who might lose their jobs because of this, so maybe have them win a lottery or something. But aside from those, it was perfect. A perfect crime with 0 witnesses, 0 evidence, and 0 casualties. Bruce remarked in almost a whisper with an impressed look on his face. However, as his car slowed down in front of a massive 5-star hotel, a smirk slowly made its way to his handsome face. Okay, maybe you were right, Cortana. This could very well be the trump card that we needed to win, even in the most hopeless of situations. This could be useful. When used scarcely, of course. Presidential Suite, Wayne Vista Grand Hotel, Athens. Bruce Wayne POV. I can't believe you were gone for days, surviving on an unknown island full of Greek warrior women. It sounds like stuff straight from fiction. Hell, I still can't believe it even though you have actual evidence to prove it. Sitting on a chair in front of me, Nissa complained with a pouty face as she looked at the others for support. Yeah, me too. An undiscovered island inhabited by a civilization of supernaturally strong women sounds almost like a fairy tale. However, we also cannot deny it since one of those supernaturally strong women is currently sitting in front of us right now. Selena nodded along with Nissa as she eyed Diana with curious eyes. Amidst the watchful and curious stares of everyone in the room, Diana looked quite nervous as she indulged herself in the chocolate cookies Alfred had ordered from room service for the 2 of us. For some reason, the Amazonian princess had suddenly gone quiet after meeting the other girls, preferring to observe them carefully before interacting with them. From her body language, it was quite evident that she was cautious of them, but the reason for this behavior of hers was beyond me. Also, when you said you battled a couple of evil gods, did you mean it in a literal way, or were you just speaking figuratively? Talia, who had been the calmest till now, asked, raising her eyebrows a little. Nope, I literally fought a few gods in a war. Although honestly, they could almost be considered weak when compared to other gods and goddesses, I answered after thinking for a few moments. It was true. Apparently, according to Cortana's calculations, Hercules only possessed strength comparable to a minor god due to his divinity being recently awakened, whereas Ares had become a mere shadow of his original self, having either lost or relinquished most of the power he possessed in his prime. On the other hand, Iapetus, although powerful, was not as strong as the 3 principal Olympian gods, owing to his being sealed in a pseudo-death state for countless millennia. So even though I could gladly say that I had defeated 2 different gods and 1 titan in battle, none of them were anywhere near powerhouses like Zeus or Darkseid in power level. I still have a long way to go before I reach their level. Of course, Ares' helmet can be a shortcut to that destination, but even then, I would need to bring it under my control for that to happen because I wasn't going to be a pawn of some godly wraith for the rest of my life. Unlike the original Batman, I gladly welcomed more power so that I could better protect myself and my family, but I wasn't suddenly going to quit being cautious to get that power. If I wanted that, I would have just started to look for that shiny helmet of fate instead of working hard to master science. Wait, you fought against literal gods and won? Wow, that is OP as hell. Vicky gasped in awe. Did she fight as well? Vicky curiously questioned while looking at Diana, her journalist eyes scanning the attractive red and golden armor that could be seen hugging her Amazonian figure despite the long piece of cloth she had wrapped around her body to try and disguise her warrior-like appearance as well as to hide her weapons from view. Hearing Vicky's question, I, instead of directly answering, looked at Diana sitting beside me, encouraging her to answer in my place to give her a chance to join in our conversation. I did what I could, although even saying that I assisted Bruce in the battles would be a stretch. He was plenty enough for all of them. He is the best warrior I have ever seen in my life, even though he is a male. He even fought better than my mother, the queen. Diana answered without any hesitation, not even realizing how her answer could be considered bigoted by some. But still, none of the girls seemed to care about her casual use of bigotry, while Alfred and I were just too wise to get offended by her words, especially since we both knew she didn't mean it that way. Of course, she would eventually need to learn how to speak in public without getting cancelled if she were to survive in the man's world. But it was nothing a few PR sessions could not teach her. Wait, the queen? So, you are not just a warrior, but also a princess? We are sitting with an actual magical princess. When were you going to tell us that, Bruce? Miss Tompkins gave me a disappointed look as she gave a side glance to Alfred. You see, Bruce, your father mentioned that your mother's family had royal ties before they amassed their wealth in Gotham's chemical industry. Even when they were dating, she used to be called the Duchess of Gotham by the press. It seems, then, that an affinity for women of royal lineage is a family trait. Wouldn't you agree, Alfred? She inquired, a playful mischievous smile gracing her lips. Hearing Leslie's words, Alfred seemed to be a little taken aback, but soon reeled his surprise back in control as he sported the same calm expression he always had on his face. Young Miss Diana here appears to be a most sincere and benevolent lady. I am sure that her endearing nature would charm anyone, whether they regard her as royalty or not. Alfred answered in a composed manner, although, for some reason, he looked a little uneasy. Did something happen while I was gone? Alfred seems to be a little awkward. I wondered to myself while mentally debating if I should inform him that the young Miss Diana here might even be older than him. I am indeed the princess and champion of Themyscira. But I will feel much better if you address me as one of you and not royalty. I am tired of being Princess Diana all the time. Sometimes, I even feel like I am more princess than Diana. I came here to explore the world and make new friends as just Diana, not a princess. Diana announced with pride in her voice as her gaze traveled across the room, informing everyone of her wish. Finally, Helena, who had mostly been silent till now, choosing to listen in on all our conversations, ultimately spoke up with a teasing voice. Just Diana, huh? Sure then, we will treat you just like we treat each other. Just don't forget your words. As for you, Bruce, I think you and I ought to have a long talk after this. I expected you to have a few surprises for me since we have met after so many years, but honestly, I feel like I don't even know you anymore. Gods and magic? Just what have you been hiding from me all this time? Hiding from all of us? She grumbled as she looked at me with a large frown on her face. Look, I know I should start communicating with you guys a little more, but believe me, I myself never expected that I would be summoned to a mythical island to fight evil Greek gods of all people. If I knew, I would have been much more prepared. I said with an awkward chuckle. But I promise, the next time something important happens, all of you here will be the first to know about it. After all, you guys are my family. I said, hoping to quell the anger that almost all the girls had on their faces, even though I had absolutely no idea why they were even angry in the first place. Master Wayne, if I may be so bold, it appears you've undergone quite a transformation since your return from this magical island. There's an indefinable change about you, something that eludes precise description. Alfred uttered while looking at me up and down with furrowed brows. I don't think so. According to Cortana's measurements, I have the exact same physical sizes that I had before. Maybe I became a little more handsome or something after living in the wild. I answered with a large grin, ignoring all the snorts that the girls directed at me. However, Alfred was actually right. Something had indeed changed within me. Although my physical measurements and abilities remained roughly the same as before, something else much deeper had transformed within me. I could feel it. The change seems to have come after Agent Smith absorbed Iapetus mental energy into me, and if I had to guess, the change probably had something to do with my soul, spirit, and mind. In fact, I could already feel my chi being much stronger than before. Originally, in the battles against Ares, Hercules, and Iapetus, I didn't use my chi much in direct attacks because I could feel that my chi was nothing compared to the godly energies they carried in them. Directly hitting them with chi attacks would have been like using a wooden stick to try and break a steel vault. But now, I feel like I at least have a chance of leaving a dent in the vault surface if nothing else. But I chose not to tell them that right now. I need to do a little more research on my current condition before I inform them of something like this. I have no wish to suddenly make them worried for no reason at all. Knock knock, excuse me. I am here to deliver a package to Bruce Wayne. A voice suddenly declared from outside the suite's entrance after a firm knock on the door, stopping our conversation from going any further. Deliver a package? I wasn't aware that any esteemed hotel would permit courier services to access their suites directly. Leslie could not help but mutter, looking like she was quite annoyed at the hotel's lack of security. Excuse me, but can anybody please open the door and sign for this package? I am from Hermes Express, and I really need to deliver this by today. Both my job and life are riding on this package. My boss is going to feed me to his snakes if I am late again, and I am already a lot late. The man spoke a little louder this time as he knocked on the door once again. Okay, that is definitely the weirdest mailman I have ever seen in my life. Bruce POV. What do you think this is, Cortana? I casually asked while inspecting the huge courier box with the help of the bat tool one of the drones had brought me earlier. Whatever this is supposed to be, sir, it's not completely normal. Despite the various types of analyzing methods we have been using to try and find out its contents, I couldn't find a single significant detail about it. All the test results, save for the camera sensors, failed even to perceive the box, much less find out any hidden details about it. The AI responded in a puzzled voice. And what about the person who delivered it? Any news about him yet? I asked with curiosity. After all, he was not an ordinary human being either. His evading my senses proved just how capable he was. Unfortunately, no sir. I have searched every digital database on the planet that I had access to. I haven't found even a single detail about the man that we saw earlier. Even the CCTV cameras near the hotel failed to capture a single photo of the man trying to enter or exit the property. Currently, I was in one of the hotel suites that I had just rented in order to find out the origins of the huge package that was delivered directly to my hotel room by a very shady-looking delivery guy. Initially, I was quite skeptical and hesitant to accept the package. However, when the delivery person begged me to sign for it, citing that both his job and life were at risk if he couldn't deliver it today and mentioning his hungry children back at home, I was compelled to oblige. The guy sounded so pathetic that I just couldn't say no to his pitiful face. He sounded like one of those guys who always worked as hard as he could to provide for his family, but still had to face misfortune wherever they went for no reason at all. Originally, I intended to interrogate him or perhaps even scan his mind to discover how he managed to bring that package to the 11th floor of the hotel without notifying the security staff. However, after I signed the delivery receipt at his request, he just vanished as if by magic. A single lapse in my vigilance allowed him to slip away undetected, leaving no trace of his whereabouts or how he managed such a swift escape. Yep, he was definitely a supernatural being, possibly even connected to the Olympian pantheon in some way, I said as I eyed the unique name pasted on the outer cover of the package, Hermes Express. Should I open it? Cortana asked as two thin metal arms with pincers extended from the white drone floating in front of me towards the boxed package. Okay, do it. Although I would have liked to wait until we went back to the cave to conduct additional tests to find out more about the package, I doubt we would find anything new, especially since we haven't found anything about it after doing so many tests already. I said, giving Cortana the go-ahead to unwrap the package. Upon hearing my command, Cortana cautiously activated a thin laser concealed within her pincers to slice through the top layer of the courier box, her guns and blasters ready to engage should there be a trap. As the upper layer of the packaging slowly tore apart, a big silver-hued luminescent piece of metal chunk enshrouded in a thin purple fabric was revealed, accompanied by a piece of paper resting atop it. It's a piece of metal, sir, with a letter on top probably written for you, Cortana stated the obvious before going ahead to pick up the letter. However, as soon as her pincers touched the paper, a lighting jolt seemed to pass through her drone body as some smoke began to rise from it, making it slightly lose its balance in the air for a second. However, the very next moment, the drone again successfully regained its balance before going ahead to scan the letter that it was still holding in its hands. Cortana, are you all right? I asked with some worry as I could not help but frown at the tiny amount of black smoke that escaped the drone's body. Yes, sir, I am completely fine. It was just a small electric shock of about 250 volts. It wasn't even enough to kill a strong enough human, much less harm this particular drone model. The brief short circuit was only because all my defenses were temporarily down when I touched the letter. I guess I got careless, Cortana explained with a downcast voice. That's okay, Cortana. You don't have to mope around now. Just make sure that this doesn't happen again. Sometimes, even a single moment of carelessness can result in someone's death, or a delivery guy running away. Sigh anyway, go ahead and read the letter, I ordered before redirecting my attention to the piece of glowing rock. If one were to ignore the glow of the chunk of metal, it honestly looked like some kind of weird non-refined ore. Wait, is it perhaps that? While I was inspecting the piece of metal, Cortana seemed to be scanning the letter for any irregularities. Once she was done, she began to read aloud the contents of the letter. Dear Mr. Bruce Wayne, I trust this letter and the package to find you in time. I am writing to you under circumstances that are mildly exasperating and extremely annoying. You see, Athena, my cunning hot sister, and Hera, my bitch of a mother, have blackmailed me into sending you this package as your reward for some quest you supposedly completed for them. Yes, by the way, you heard that right, blackmailed. One would think the goddesses of wisdom and family would have better uses for their time, but apparently, they have given you their words to send you this reward. So here I am, reluctantly parting with 50 kilograms of the rare and highly coveted element called 8th metal. Now let's clear the air. I am not in the habit of sending rare supernatural metals to mortals, no matter how cool, broody, or handsome they may be. But both Athena and Hera forced me to do this, something about their godly honor depending on this reward. Frankly, I don't see why a billionaire needs any more help other than his billions. But what do I know? I'm just the god of smithing. Honestly, this isn't the first time I've been dragged into these ridiculous promises made by my family. I never understood what it is with gods and their grandiose rewards. You know, Zeus once promised a flying ship to some hero. Guess who had to make it? And don't get me started on my brothers Hermes and Apollo. It's like an endless game of Hephaestus, we need a favor, and I'm always the one left holding the hammer. So here we are. Anyway, enclosed with the package you hopefully received is a shipment of pure 8th metal, which, for the record, is a remarkable substance. It's lighter than air, stronger than any metal on Earth, an extremely good conductor of all types of magic blah blah blah, and most of all, annoyingly difficult to part with. I can only hope you make good use of it. Perhaps a new armor? Or a sword? Or maybe a spear? The possibilities are as endless as your funding. In closing, I hope you can do justice to the most valuable metal in the world and make something unique with it, since you are apparently also an inventor like me. Maybe that's why Athena has a crush on you. Wait, I wasn't supposed to say that. Well, I guess it slipped my fingers. Maybe she shouldn't have blackmailed me in the first place if she didn't want anyone to know this. Also, if you ever need any more rare materials, please consider asking anyone but me. My backlog of godly requests is already longer than the river Styx. Oh, and forgive me for the little prank I pulled with the letter. I really wanted someone to blame for having to give away so much 8th metal, so I decided that shocking you a little with a harmless prank could satisfy my anger. Yours begrudgingly, Hephaestus, god of fire and forge, Vulcan Forges Corporation, Olympus PS. If you figure out how to stop gods from making absurd promises involving my labor, do let me know. I'd be eternally grateful. Also, if you ever invent something amazing, you can share it with me, either via prayer or just burning your invention in a fire lit in my name. Cortana finally finished reading the letter in one go. My silence lasted for a long time as I wondered how to respond to the letter. All of it was mostly Hephaestus ranting like a 10-year-old about him having to give away so much of the metal to me, but truthfully, Hephaestus sounded like I don't believe that I am saying this, but he sounded like a good guy who was always bullied to do stuff by his family members. Even though I was the one benefiting from this the most, I could not help but feel slightly sorry for him. Sir, now that we know this is pure 8th metal, should I arrange for it to be transported back to our lab? Cortana finally broke the silence after some time. She sounded like she was also confused about how she should react to the letter, so she just chose to ignore it. Yes, sure, do that. I won't be working for the week since I am on vacation, so I'll look into this after I return to Gotham. I answered after thinking for a while as I surveyed the glowing piece of metal. Now, I just have to decide what to make with this, as well as how to actually make it, since I have no idea how this metal is even used in metalcraft. Bruce Wayne POV. Amusement parks are really too much fun, no matter how old we are. Remember the last time we went to an amusement park together, Bruce? As much as I remember, It was the Wayne Wonderland in Gotham, right? You, Vicky, Selena, and I visited the park on the day of its inauguration. We had so much fun that day, didn't we? Helena mused with a warm smile on her face as we strolled through the lively streets of the amusement park in Athens that we were exploring. Originally, all of us were supposed to visit the amusement park together, but Alfred and Leslie had decided to stay back because apparently, they had suddenly remembered that they had something important to do while the other girls wanted to go on a girls' night out to get to know Diana better. Helena, however, still wanted to visit an amusement park with me just like we used to when we were young, so she ditched her gal friends without any hesitation, and here we are. Yeah, we really did have fun that day. You know, I still remember how you were trying to pretend that you were some arrogant stuck-up princess who didn't like amusement parks when we went there the first time. But the moment Alfred bought us corn dogs, every bit of that facade melted right off your face. It was adorable how you had to eat your corn dog while also having to protect it from Selena's greedy hands. I chuckled as I reminisced about that day. Well, what can I say? I love long sticks of thick meat in my mouth, she shrugged while giving me a suggestive glance. Miss Helena Bertinelli, are you trying to flirt with me? Because if you are, then you need to do better. That sounded like something a shaboink addict would say. I replied with a mischievous smirk. And who said I wasn't a shaboink addict? Maybe I am one as well, and I am just saving myself for the right schlong. Or should I say the right person with just the right schlong? Helena said while looking at me through the corner of her eyes, trying to gauge my reaction. But again, you wouldn't care about that, would you? You have your own little kitty after all. Vicky told me about you and Selena's wild nights together, as well as the fact that you are also dating two assassin sisters at the same time. You, Mr. Bruce Wayne, are one hell of a player. It seemed like Helena was quite informed about my private life despite living far away in Europe. It was by no doubt Vicky's doing. Besides being a talented journalist in her professional life, Vicky Vale also liked using her skills in her private life as well, which apparently included giving timely updates to her best friend about details of all my relationships. Well, what can I say? When life gives you lemons, make grape juice, then sit back and watch while life wonders how you did it. I responded with an innocent smile. That makes no sense. But honestly, I understand. Even when we were kids, you always listened to us and tried your best to help us in any way you could, no matter what we did. I guess that's why we all had such a big crush on you. Although you probably know that already. Helena admitted the last part to herself in a soft voice as a red blush slowly crept up on her cheeks. You know, being a healthy male in his teens, I had a crush on you all as well, still do even. So, I guess the feelings are mutual. I flirted back before proceeding to immediately change the topic. Anyway, how has life been in Italy? Besides training in gymnastics, archery, shooting, and martial arts, I also heard that you have been indulging in some interesting nightly activities that involve the bat tool I gave you. Yes, I have been practicing. Wait, how did you know? Wait, have you been keeping an eye on me using Cortana? Helena frowned. Not really. Cortana indeed does have a program that keeps a watch on the overall safety of all my friends and family members, but she doesn't have to observe them all the time for that. An algorithm for detecting any abnormalities in their daily life is enough for that. However, I came to know about your regular nightly activities from the tracker I placed inside your bat tool. I revealed with an impassive face. A tracker. You had a tracker on me all this time? That is a serious breach of privacy, you know. God, you are even worse than the tech giants that have been cropping up everywhere and using their products to harvest data from the public. Helena pouted to show her anger. If you expect me to apologize, then you will be quite disappointed, Helena. I have already lost my parents once because I wasn't prepared enough for what happened that night, and I don't want to lose you or any of the other members of my new family again the same way. And if I have to get the help of a tracker for that, I will. You can hate me for that, despise me for acting like a pervert, but I still won't be sorry, and I definitely won't stop. Better you hate me while being alive than love me while being dead. Or worse. I said with a serious voice while shamelessly using the dead parents card in my defense to stop her from overreacting. Of course, I didn't tell her that another reason why I placed the tracker in the bat tool was to ensure that if it ever fell into the wrong hands, I could effortlessly track and recover it. After all, I don't want anybody using a billion-dollar weapon that could potentially even knock out Kryptonians to commit petty crimes, do I? Well, if you phrase it like that, then I don't know what to say. Damn it, I can't even be angry at you for too long. I always thought that you would grow up to be an arrogant billionaire jock whose life's mission would be getting inside women's panties. At least then I would have had a chance of being worthy of you, but why the hell do you have to be so caring and perfect? Helena harumphed. Well, I am not perfect, nobody is. And I assure you that getting inside women's panties is still very important for me. I joked with a straight face. Anyway, let's go to that roller coaster ride next. You can tell me about your recent drug cartel burst there, I said while pulling her to the ride in front of us. A roller coaster? I am pretty sure that no ride in this amusement park can scare someone who has experienced riding the Vomiter or the Juggler in your park back at Gotham. A pearl of laughter escaped Helena's lips as both of us got ready for another boring ride. Omniscient POV. Okay, I shouldn't have done that roller coaster ride so many times. Who knew that my senses had become that sensitive after taking so many serum cocktails? Bruce mumbled to himself as he entered his dark room while still clutching his head. He was lucky that the other girls hadn't gone with him to the amusement park today. Otherwise, they would have surely mocked him for feeling so disoriented after a mere roller coaster ride. However, I should do some VR training later to ensure that my senses do not get the better of me if I ever have to withstand something like the roller coaster again. He thought with a snort as he opened his clothes, not even bothering to turn on the lights. He might not be very tired physically, but mentally, he was drained and needed to blow off some steam. He was sure that having some much-needed shut-eye was the best possible way for him to do that right now. However, just as he was having all these thoughts, he suddenly grew alert as he looked around his room with a frown on his face. Did I just imagine it? He furrowed his eyebrows. But before he could look around further, he felt a pair of thin but firm human hands slowly embracing him from behind. Talia? What are you doing here, and why are you hiding your chi? Bruce asked without even looking at the face of the person behind him. Well done. You were able to accurately guess who I was without even turning around. Even my father himself couldn't sense me when I tried my best, since I was extremely gifted in the art of stealth. It seems that my father had really lucked out by getting you as his student. But then again, he did die at the hands of his favorite student, so maybe not. And as for your question, I am not hiding my chi from you but from my sister. After all, she wouldn't have allowed me to come here alone if she could sense me. Talia answered, using her hands to feel out his abs. Oh, and what do you want to do, now that you are here? Bruce asked with a shit-eating grin, the mental tiredness he once felt now rapidly disappearing with each passing second. Something that we both desired from the very start, something that my little sister is too afraid to do. In the simple wise terms often used by Selena and Vicky, I am going to get my cherry popped. Check out chapter 138 to find out exactly how that cherry was popped. Moving on. Auditorium Parco della Musica Ennio Morricone, Rome, Italy. Bruce POV. What Wayne Enterprises is striving for through its products is not just a cure but a future where no one has to choose between their health and their hope, where no one has to die or suffer because their condition is untreatable. Together, we are turning the tide against the concept of diseases itself, making miracles accessible for every person on the planet. Thank you. I concluded with a small bow before turning to leave the stage. As soon as I turned after finishing my speech, the entire auditorium burst into fiery applause as the press, the dignitaries, and the public alike took part in the standing ovation to show their approval. Now, a lot of people might ask what I was doing here in an auditorium giving a speech while I should be relaxing somewhere on a beach or a casino as I was supposed to be on vacation for the entire month. Honestly, that's what I wanted too. But after a news reporter spotted me entering my hotel in Italy, news of my Euro tour spread like wildfire in all the local newspapers and news channels. And then, the rest was history. Italian and European politicians knew that being seen with me or having me do a public meeting in the country would bolster their popularity immensely. So they sent multiple requests for me to participate in some public events. Originally, I was going to ignore those requests and just focus on enjoying my vacation here, but Alfred, being the wise advisor he was, advised me to at least attend one public gathering and meet with some of the important ministers to speak about some of the latest groundbreaking products from a company. According to him, that way we could at least secure some political backing for ourselves in Europe, which would be quite useful in the long run. Of course, there was also the fact that they had also promised some tax cuts for Wayne Enterprises if I were to praise the direction the country was developing in under their rule. Also, for some reason, it felt like Alfred was lately frustrated about something, and was trying his best to avoid even looking me in the eye. So when he told me to do this for him, I couldn't really say no. That was amazing, Mr. Wayne. Your talk about the essential welfare of humans and our responsibility to protect fellow human life almost made me shed tears. Thank you for agreeing to our request today. It was an honor to bear witness to such advanced medical technology that is inevitably going to change our world for the better. A middle-aged man who had previously introduced himself as the Italian Minister of Finance said while shaking my hand before posing for a photo with me. It was my pleasure to be here. I smiled back. Now, you must forgive me for I need to return before my friends decide to continue the rest of the tour without me. I chuckled as I made my way to the exit after shaking a couple more hands. Mr. Wayne, what do you think about moving your operations to a more tax-friendly location to save taxes? Mr. Wayne, are the rumors of you having an affair with the news prodigy Vicky Vale true? Mr. Wayne, is it true that you are trying to create a harem for yourself? Mr. Wayne, do you think Luther Industries will be a threat to Wayne Enterprises in any way? Mr. Wayne, what do you think about the rumors of superhumans that have slowly begun to sprout out from different corners of the world? Do you think they will be bad for the global economy? Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne. Shouts from scores of news reporters echoed from all around me as they tried to surround me and bombard me with different types of questions in the hope that I would slip up and utter something spicy that would give them their next big headlines. Sorry, no more questions. Now, please make some space and let Mr. Wayne leave. A bulky man named Tom, who was the appointed leader of the security detail that was assigned to me by the Italian government, declared while shoving the press representatives to the sides to make some room. The parking is this way, Mr. Wayne. We have parked your car there. It is better to exit through the car park instead of waiting at the entrance, since the press isn't allowed there as it is for VIPs only. Sure, I replied with a shrug before following him out along with the other security officials. However, as we entered the parking space, something suddenly began to feel off. It was like my inner instincts were warning me that somebody or something was observing me. For a moment, I thought that the security personnel were going to try and take their shot at me, but it was apparent from their body language that they weren't stressed and didn't feel like anything was wrong. To me, this made it clear that they weren't spies and didn't pose any threat to me. This was something else, or should I say someone else, because the fact that I couldn't sense them meant they weren't just professional killers, but very good at their job too. Is something wrong, Mr. Wayne? Tom asked after he noticed me suddenly getting vigilant of the surroundings. It's nothing, I answered without any change in my expression as I followed them to my car. Cortana, can you check the CCTV footage to make sure that this is not just my paranoia kicking in? I whispered in a low voice. The car park was mostly empty. There wasn't anyone else here since access to this particular parking lot was supposedly limited to only VIPs and VIPs. There were a few other cars in the parking lot, mostly belonging to elite dignitaries and politicians, but all of them were empty since their owners were currently attending the press Q&A that was still going on. The CCTV footage seems to be running in a loop while the motion sensors have been deactivated from the control room, sir. There is a 96.7% chance that our security is compromised. Cortana replied. We are here, Mr. Wayne. One of us will drive you to the hotel, and two of us will be accompanying you in the back of the car, while there will be two more cars that will be escorting you. One will be in front of your car and the other behind you. Tom explained after bringing me in front of a black Tesla Model X. It was a normal Tesla X that I had borrowed from the hotel this morning after randomly choosing it. It didn't have any extra safety or technological modifications that were normally present in all my personal cars. So of course, messing with the car was as easy as messing with any other ordinary car out there, save for the advanced commercial safety features and software Wayne Enterprises used while developing the vehicle. So before responding to his words, I quickly muttered once again, Cortana, scan the car. Already did, sir. There is some sort of foreign electronic device carrying a hefty explosive charge that has been interfaced with the car's ECU. It is a dual trigger mechanism linked to the braking system and the vehicle's speed sensor. Halting or driving the car above a particular speed will immediately trigger the explosion. Whoever did this is no amateur. Cortana quickly answered even before I could complete my question. It was quite apparent from her voice that she was eager to please and show off her capabilities and usefulness. Tom, I think I want to drive by myself today. You guys can just follow me. You don't need to be in the same car to protect me from attacks, right? Sir, this is against the protocol we normally follow. Our job is to escort you safely to your hotel. We can't just let you drive on your own. Tom interjected in a worried tone. It will be fine. After all, the hotel is barely a mile away from here. Plus, I trust you guys. You all are professionals. I patted his hand with a smile before getting inside the car. Sir, Do you want me to try and deactivate the explosive wirelessly, or do you want to use the nanobots to do it? I suggest using the nanobots, since it will be quicker and much more efficient. Cortana advised. Neither. Rather, I intend to let the explosion happen. I answered with a straight face. There haven't been any changes in your brainwaves or your heartbeat, so you are neither joking nor are you possessed. Then may I ask why you intend to put your life in danger? My life in danger? You must be kidding, Cortana. You and I both know that a simple explosion can't even put a scratch on me, much less mortally wound me. Of course, I can stop this explosion from happening, but I wouldn't gain anything from that, would I? However, if people think that an attempt on my life put me in a critical state, there would be a lot of ways I could use that sentiment. From public sympathy to establishing the fact that Bruce Wayne is a completely normal person, and even baiting my enemies to come out of the shadows to act after making them think that I am at my weakest, it would give me a lot of advantages. And most important of all, it would make it much easier to find out who is trying to kill me, since the killer would most probably try to verify if his mission was a success or not. I concluded as I started the engine, after noticing that all the security agents had gone inside their cars to follow me. As stupid as this is, it actually makes sense. I hate it when you have stupid ideas that are technically genius. Cortana said from my bracelet with what sounded like a sigh. Because I am a genius. You might be 10,000 times smarter than the average man, but as your dear daddy, I am still smarter than you. Oh, and by the way, send a message to Alfred, Talia, and Helena to make some preparations in one of the hospitals we have connections to here in Italy. After all, even though I could use nanobots to visually appear injured and burned on the outside, we still need inside help of some medical professionals to keep the ruse on for a few days. I replied with a cheeky smile before pushing down the accelerator as strongly as possible. Omniscient POV. Boom! An explosion suddenly shook the entire parking lot as the Tesla Bruce was riding on exploded into a torrent of fire and pieces of steaming hot metal. The explosion, though contained accurately to not affect the other nearby cars, was still potent enough to make sure that anything and everything inside it was reduced to ashes. Shit. I am going to lose my job. Tom muttered with a mix of desperation, anger, and surprise in his voice as he and the other members of his team ran towards the burning wreckage of the car to try and pull what should already be the smoked and charred dead body of one of the richest people on the planet. Omniscient POV. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 p.m., here in Metropolis, on Saturday, August 27th, and I am Catherine Grant from Catherine Grant Hour. Tonight, we bring you a breaking and very disturbing story. Bruce Wayne, one of America's most cherished and ideal citizens, has narrowly escaped a heinous assassination attempt in Italy. The incident occurred earlier today when Mr. Wayne was attending a prestigious business conference in Rome. After the conference ended and he was going back to his hotel, he found that his car was rigged with explosives, detonating in what can only be described as a cowardly and vile act of terrorism. Although the attack did not take Mr. Wayne's life, it left him critically injured, resulting in his admission to the emergency ward of an Italian hospital, where he is currently hanging on the brink between life and death. An attractive and charming woman with blonde hair started with a sad and disappointed expression on her face. Now, let's not mince words here. We all know that Bruce Wayne is more than just a billionaire. He is a pillar of our community, a beacon of hope and philanthropy who has dedicated his life to bettering both our country and the world. His family was one of the founding fathers of the great city of Gotham and has contributed more to America than most political families in the country. From his company's groundbreaking innovations in different sectors of technology to his unwavering support of numerous charitable causes, Mr. Wayne represents the very best of what it means to be an American. She elaborated, her face lighting up with patriotism and encouragement. And an attack on Bruce Wayne is an attack on America itself. It is an assault on the values we hold dear: courage, integrity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. We must stand united in our condemnation of this despicable act and support the swift and decisive efforts of both American and Italian authorities to bring those responsible to justice. As an American myself, I condemn the authorities who were unable to protect Mr. Wayne, and I implore everyone to stand by him in his support. In times like these, it is imperative that we remember the resilience and strength of the human spirit. The Wayne family, including Mr. Bruce Wayne, has faced countless challenges and emerged stronger each time. Tonight, our thoughts and prayers are with him, wishing him a speedy recovery and continued strength in the face of adversity. This attack will not deter us. It will not break our spirit. Instead, it will reinforce our resolve to stand by Bruce Wayne and Wayne Enterprises, who fight tirelessly to make our world a better place. We will not be intimidated. We will not be silenced. Together, we will rise above this dark moment and shine even brighter. The woman encouragingly said while looking directly at the camera, her face filled with infectious determination. Stay tuned for more updates as this story unfolds. You are watching Wayne News Network, and this is Catherine Grant, from the Catherine Grant Hour, reminding you to stay strong, stay vigilant, and above all, stay proud to be an American. Good night. Bruce Wayne POV. Where the hell did you recruit her from? She took the term passionate footlicking to a whole other level. The way she made me seem like some sort of capitalist messiah, even I had cringe from it. I struggled to close my mouth after switching off the TV in my hospital room. What are you talking about? She did amazing. Wow, I can't believe I found a talent like her. I should be starting my own talent management agency. That woman. You have no idea how she is going to soon change the face of your media company. Till now, we have been the leading news network in Gotham and one of the top 10 in the US, but with her help, Metropolis is in our bag as well. In fact, not just Metropolis. If we can continue to recruit talents like her, I can guarantee you that Wayne News will easily become the biggest media and news company in the country, if not the world, in no time. Vicky confidently stated with an impressed look on her face. Well, whatever you think works, I guess. You are the media genius here, after all, not me. Just make sure that she doesn't go too over the top, I said with a tired exhale before taking another sip of my grape-flavored smoothie. Currently, I was comfortably reclining in a bed in my private hospital room, with a significant part of my body wrapped in bandages to conceal the fact that the explosion had actually left me unscathed. This hospital was among the countless beneficiaries of the Martha Wayne Foundation's generous donations, which meant the hospital was happy to go on with my demands. Alfred was also acquainted with some of the senior management here and ensured that news about my health condition would not leak from the hospital. As far as the public and the media were concerned, I was fighting a battle with death right now, which meant that I could truly relax here until I chose to go back and make a public appearance once again. I admit this was quite cringe as well, but in all fairness, so is the media in every other news channel nowadays. Yours was actually quite entertaining. For a few moments, even I felt bad for Gotham's messiah and America's true hero. I guess I am still an American from the heart, aren't I? Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, uttered while chuckling like a madman as he entered my room, followed by Ace. Haha, laugh all you want. I'll see how you like it when this happens to you. Maybe I'll try and make you into America's darling soldier one day to take revenge, or maybe even force you to run for president. I snorted. Anyway, what news have you brought me, my highest paid employee? Also, how the hell did you get Ace inside the hospital? I asked while petting my favorite pet dog behind his ears. Grrrrrrrrr, Ace let out a happy rumble from his throat as he felt my hand ruffling the fur on his head. With a satisfied and happy expression, he sat down beside my bed and looked toward Slade as if signaling him to go ahead and answer my question. I get paid the highest because I have the best skills in the world. Don't make me sound like a leech or something. As for your dog, believe me, not a lot of people reject multi-billionaires from bringing their dogs inside someplace. And yes, I have figured out who tried to kill you. But before I tell you that, I just want to inform you that I have called some of your newly bio-enhanced bodyguards here. They will be guarding the hospital as long as you are here and everyone else who is close to you until we eliminate the person responsible for this. You don't even need to lift a single finger. I'll take care of everything and... Slade, quit dilly-dallying and just tell me who it was so that I can take care of it. I interrupted him with a frown. Although it was a professional assassin who attempted the assassination on you, someone who was very good at what they do, the order, however, was placed by someone else. And it was not done through the League of Assassins. Nissa confirmed that. The League, or should I say the High Table, has termed you and your close ones as untouchable targets. No one is allowed to put a bounty on your head through their services. So the people who did it used a more traditional approach instead. They used the dark net. However, even then, most assassins would not dare take on the task like this since you are too much of a high-profile target and you have me, the great Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, as your chief of security. Or whatever else fancy position you have given me. Slade, you seem to be deflecting the question, Slade. Wait, are you afraid? I asked, furrowing my brows. No, not afraid maybe. But you do seem to be weary of something. The question is what? I am not afraid. Slade Wilson is not afraid of anyone. It's just that the person who tried to kill you is not your normal run-of-the-mill assassin. Wilson replied with a snarl. Have you heard of Colonel Ruman Harjavti, the current supreme ruler of Byalia? He was the one who put a bounty on your head in the dark net. Apparently, he came to power because the previous king got weak after he was diagnosed with third-stage lung cancer. The king is still alive since Harjavti is not politically powerful enough to actually kill the royal family, but he won't live for long without some miraculous cure. Something like the Xenobots you recently developed and are planning to spread around the world. But if the king were to pass away, his teenage daughter would be the only one left in the royal bloodline, and I am pretty sure you can understand how easy it would be for Ramon to make his military reign over Byalia permanent if he just married the princess. Slade explained. That's it? That's what you were cautious about? A king trying to kill me because he wants to stop the cancer drug developed by my company from being sold all over the world. God, he is really stupid, isn't he? Does he even understand how companies work? Even if I die, someone else will just inherit the company and continue selling the product. What a buffoon. Anyway, I think you grossly underestimate just how powerful a big-time capitalist in America is. I said with a relaxed chuckle. This is nothing a few discussions and threats won't solve. Worst-case scenario, I'll just assassinate the colonel and put the princess in power or something if this escalates. That was not what was making me so worried, kid. The one who accepted the bounty. At first, I thought that it was someone from the Remnant League of Shadows, the one that is still operating under Lady Shiva using some unknown island as its base, but turns out I was wrong. The one who just tried to kill you, it's one of your old mentors. David Kane, the most feared killer in the world. Deathstroke completed in a grim tone. David Kane. I repeated his word, as I remembered the man who had taught me everything there was to know about killing someone in the most effective manner possible during my tutelage in the League of Assassins. He was not just one of the generals, under Ra's al Ghul, but his most effective assassin and an absolute master in his craft. David considered himself an artist when it came to killing his targets. In fact, he didn't even do what he did for money or power, but simply to prove that he was the very best in his profession. Even though he was the most effective killer in the world, he still didn't consider himself perfect. Instead, he wanted to train someone perfect, and for some time he thought that I was it, the perfect killer that he always dreamed of being. Of course, that was until he realized that I wasn't so keen on killing innocent people, after which he just regarded me as another failure and disappeared. However, I never thought that he would be back to try and kill me, especially since I was his favorite student and all. Also, if the assassin really is David Kane, then this car explosion wasn't his attempt at killing me but a simple hello before he truly started the job. Now a lot of people might ask why I was concerned about someone like David Kane, a mere human who had no supernatural or superhuman power whatsoever. Well, remember the preparation hack that Batman is famous for? The reason why Batman always wins against all of his enemies? The reason why Batman can even defeat extra-dimensional all-powerful entities with enough time? Guess who taught it to him? Yep, it was David Kane, the man who can kill anyone with enough time and preparation. That man has no limits or boundaries. He can and will kill children if it would help in killing his target faster. He isn't some villain who will try to stupidly kill you with a bunch of guns and missiles, but someone who will use anything at his disposal to plot and take away your power, weaken you, wound you, and then kill you when you are at your absolute weakest. He was a true monster in man's skin, and I am pretty sure that whatever he had planned for me was much, much worse than a damn car explosion. This is going to be a freaking headache.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.